So today's session is really about foundations of ClickFunnels and kind of what ClickFunnels is, what it does, how we're going to use it. This will be a refresher for a lot, but I want to make sure everybody's on the same kind of playing field when we get into the deeper subjects like how to use custom CSS, how to use custom jQuery, and those things, and kind of the more in detail building out funnels, doing funnel design and all that stuff within ClickFunnels. So I want to make sure that kind of everybody has a good foundation for all the capabilities that ClickFunnels has. And the reason that I use specifically ClickFunnels. And so to kind of go back to that and to figure all that out, let's step back about 5 years. I started using ClickFunnels in 2015. And the reason that I came to ClickFunnels, back up even a little bit further. I've been doing web application development since 1998. And I've used pretty much every platform under the sun, pretty much every platform or every programming language under the sun, and have always built custom software. And I've worked for small businesses all the way up into Inc. 5 companies. I've done custom application development for starting out with Eli Lilly Pharmaceuticals, obviously a multi-billion-dollar a year business. All the way down to the local mom and pop shop that are selling, picture frames and stuff like that. So I've got a wide level of experience when it comes to application development. And fast forward from that, starting in 1998 up until about 2013, 2014, I had been sitting at a desk job for a number of years and had finally reached my 39th birthday and decided, I've gained way too much weight and I need to get healthy. So I worked on that for about a year and made the promise that by my 40th birthday, I was going to be in the best shape of my life. Made this promise to my wife, and I did so. And in the process of doing that, I learned a lot about nutrition and health. And I promise this is going somewhere that doesn't have to do with pitching you guys on some MLM to sign up for Thrive or some other health food store or something like that. But I made that promise, and in the way I learned a ton. And what I wanted to do come around 2015 is I wanted to take that information that I had learned and share it with others. So I actually wrote a book, put that into ebook format, and I wanted to get it out to the world. And I thought, I could do this. I wanted to be able to sell it as well, but at least start the process of distributing it and kind of generate and build my own business around it. I'd been working for other people for a long time, both as a contractor and as a full-time employee, and I really wanted to build something different. Build a business that didn't have to do with working directly for somebody else. And so I thought, this would be a good way to do this. I can take what I've learned in fitness and I can build kind of a fitness following. I can, publish a few things. I can build some courses. I can start to sell that and go into that fitness space. I've been doing, dabbling in affiliate marketing. So I knew quite a bit about the space to begin with. So again, I wrote the book and I thought, now how do I best distribute this? Well, I could custom build something. Don't want to do that. It takes too much time. I've got a full-time job. I don't have the time to dedicate to going and building another system. I could use WordPress and throw together a bunch of plugins and get it to work, use something like WooCommerce or Magento or something like that and make the sales pages work. And that was an option. But again, I don't really want to go through and spend a bunch of time to piecemeal a bunch of things together to make it all work. And I really don't. I want to learn more about the marketing as well. And along comes Russell Brunson. I'd followed Russell for a number of years, actually. I'd been studying online marketing at that point for probably about 10 or 12 years. So I knew of Russell. I knew of online marketing. I kind of followed a lot of the key players in the space at that time, Frank Kern, John Reese, Mike Vilsain, Russell, and a bunch of others. So I knew a fair amount about online marketing and knew what I wanted to accomplish. But I wasn't sure of the best and simplest way to get it up and running. And I happened to come, and I honestly don't even know how I came across Russell's Funnel Hacks webinar, but I came across an ad or something for that and thought, hey, that sounds interesting. So let me jump on that. And this was the old style, if you're familiar with it, was the old hook of how I built, the strange niche website that generates $17,497 a day. And something along those lines. That was the hook that got me. It's like, okay, that's cool. That's kind of what I'm looking for. So I signed up for the Funnel Hacks webinar where Russell explained funnels as being the vehicle, and then walked through the 3 secrets of, hey, funnels are the vehicle. That's the way to go. And, it can work for anybody. And you have to have this in order to build your business. So I covered the vehicle, and he's like, and anybody can do this because it's super simple. You don't have to be super techie, and introduced ClickFunnels to me. And a bunch of other people. But he introduced ClickFunnels, and then talked about funnel hacking and how that all works. And all of that clicked and made sense. And I thought, okay, this is really cool. So at that point, I believe it was 12 months access to the ClickFunnels software for $997. And that price has since gone up, but that was the deal at the time, was 12 months of access to ClickFunnels for $997. I knew it was at least $997 a month, but we were getting a $300 a month package for, a significant discount. I thought, okay, so that alone is probably worth it. And I'm getting all this training. You're going to get, 8 or 10 hours worth of training on funnel hacking and how to build funnels and how to do all that stuff. It all just sounded like a really, really good deal to me. And so I took the dive and I purchased it. And I told myself in my mind at that time, I said, okay, well, I've got 30 days. If for some reason I get in here and I just can't make it work, I can't figure it out within 30 days, then I can always ask for a refund. And fortunately for me, I did not do that. I did not ask for a refund, but I did take a little extra time to go through before I actually started jumping in and using ClickFunnels. But once I did, I found one thing that really, for me, made the biggest difference. As a custom developer, I realized that, hey, I can throw my own custom style sheets and my own custom JavaScript into the page builder. And that's going to allow me to do pretty much anything that I want to do. Even if it doesn't do what I want to do out of the box, it allows me to do those things. And then also, ClickFunnels will send out what are called webhooks that I can tell it wherever to send that webhook to, and it will send the data about the contact records and about the orders, and it will send all that stuff outside of ClickFunnels so that I could integrate with a bunch of other platforms if I needed to. But the big thing for me was like, hey, it's got pretty much everything in one spot. I just have to pick a payment gateway. Stripe is super easy, and so I knew how to do that. I was comfortable with that. So I can set up a Stripe account. I can connect that to my ClickFunnels account, and then ClickFunnels will build out I can use that to build out my, my opt-in forms, my video sales letter pages, my order forms, my one-click upsells, my order confirmation pages, and then down the road, if I want to do some sort of webinar, it's got an auto webinar system set up. I can also integrate it with some other webinar platform where I can build out my own webinar and sell my own products, sell my own course, sell my higher ticket items, sell coaching, all kinds of other things. And I thought, okay, this is the deal. This is going to work for me because it's all in one place. And so that's what I really like about ClickFunnels, is the fact that so much of what you need to operate a business online is already integrated directly into the software, or it has a simple integration into other tools that it may not support directly. Or if you're already using another system, then you can continue to use that system and just integrate it with ClickFunnels. If you have another autoresponder like Aweber or like ActiveCampaign or Constant Contact, you can integrate those autoresponder platforms directly with ClickFunnels, or use the HTML form integration. That was another great option for me at the time. Like, okay, they've really thought out how these things can integrate and the tools that I might want to use when it comes to running a full business. And so that was really kind of what attracted me. It was really that the biggest attraction for me was the custom CSS and the being able to insert your own JavaScript. Those were the things that I said, okay, yep, I can make this do pretty much anything I want it to do. And that's been true to this day. There are a few things that are difficult to do without some external software, building some custom software externally, but I've done several of those sorts of projects, and they work very well using either ClickFunnels webhooks or using Stripe webhooks. When somebody buys through ClickFunnels, that goes to Stripe. Stripe can then also notify a service that a purchase has been made. And you've also got connections to Zapier. So now you can use Zapier to integrate with all kinds of third-party softwares. So they've really done a good job of figuring out how can we make this easy for customers to have pretty much a one-stop shop for everything they need to do. And still make it flexible enough that you can make it your own. That's kind of the difficulty when you look at something like a Shopify. you obviously have a lot of integrations you can use with Shopify, but the difficulty is actually customizing your pages. Like, you cannot customize the Shopify order form. You can maybe change some colors, maybe change a logo, but the fields are on the page. They are always going to be on the page. And, you know, there's very little customization you can do to their order form process. So it's hard to, you know, it's hard to make that convert any better than what it does out of the box, because you can't really modify it that much. Now you can integrate with another system that does nothing but the shopping cart for Shopify, like a one-click upsell from Ezra Firestone, or there's CartHook, or there's a few other, like if you want to do recurring subscriptions, you can use a Recharge app as another Shopify app that will allow you to make your own order forms. But again, those tools are very hard to customize. They're not nearly as easy to customize as what a ClickFunnels drag and drop order form is. So that's what attracted me to ClickFunnels, and that's kind of what got me started down the rabbit hole of figuring all this stuff out. And that was the big attraction. So that kind of brings us to today, which is, okay, what really is ClickFunnels, and what what is the foundation of it, and what do we need to know when we're getting started? So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here real quick. See if I can get the right desktop showing here. Okay, and make sure I've got everybody here still. Okay, cool. And so you guys should see my screen now, and you can see on this, we've already been through. So this is the document we kind of built out during the first session, which is kind of the foundations of funnels. And what we can see on this is at the bottom of this list, we've got a tool set here, things that you need to really think about when you're looking at building out a funnel, looking at building out a new business that you're going to need to have, and that would be ideal that they can integrate together. And so you can see out of all these, with the exception of Payment Gateway and with the exception of Live Webinar, ClickFunnels will support all of these different features. You know, it's got an email autoresponder already built into it. It's got a page builder for your registration pages is already built in. Your order form page builder is already built in. Your course hosting for membership areas, it's already built in. Your auto webinar format. So when you've done a live webinar, and now, you know what, I want to automate my business. I don't have to keep doing this webinar live every week. You can build out an auto webinar page right within ClickFunnels. And then you've got things like collecting money. Payment gateways, of course, are easy to integrate. It integrates with a bunch of different ones. Stripe being the first and foremost, it's kind of the easy one to set up if it supports your business model. So that's already built in. They're direct payment gateways. You just go and set up your account there, and then bring it over to ClickFunnels. So that makes it super easy. And then also, it integrates with the live webinar platforms that most people would want to use, like GoToWebinar or Zoom. You can also integrate with Webinar Jam. So it's kind of got built-in integrations to all those things. So those are the kind of the key components of what you would want to work with within your funnel, and ClickFunnels just happens to have most of those features built in directly to itself, or integrates easily with external systems that support the extra features that you might need. And so that's kind of what we're going to go through. And then the other things that we'll go through today, and I'm just going to create a new doc. Actually, we'll just add this down to the bottom of the doc. So the other things that, when you think of setting up a new business, or if you were just look at this and say, let's put funnels aside for a minute. Let's just say when it comes to a website in general, there are things that make the internet operate. And one of those things is a domain name. So a domain name is, CFProTools.com is a domain name. So ClickFunnels allows you to have custom domains. So you can have, CFProTools.com as your custom domain name. CFCODELAB.com is a custom domain name. And so you can have that, and you can also have subdomains. So say you've got an account you've already got a website, and it's already hosted on WordPress, and that's already working for you, but you just want to build a funnel that you can send people to that sells a particular product. So you can use a subdomain like go.cfprotools.com, which isn't actually a real one. I don't use that. because I host everything within ClickFunnels, but you could do that if you wanted to. That Go is what we call a subdomain. www is actually also a subdomain. It became kind of the web standard way back when domain names were first created, when the internet was first being born, as a way to separate some of that traffic, and it just stands for World Wide Web. And it became the kind of the de facto standard of, if you wanted to have a website where you were building HTML pages, which stands for Hypertext Markup Language. If you were building HTML pages and you wanted somebody to be able to go to that, then you would tell them that they need to go to www.cfprotools.com to get to your website, where the cfprotools.com was just kind of that's called the root, or the top level domain. And that's going to be used for things like email hosting, is going to go to your top level domain. So that's kind of a subdomain is just a portion of a domain name system. In this case, we could use Go. You could use www, and that be one piece, and Go be another piece, and Start be another piece, and Finish be another piece. There's all kinds of, you can use as many subdomains you want, and then this CFCODELAB.com portion is the top level domain. That's the root domain, or we call the apex domain. And that's, so we've got those couple of things, and ClickFunnels will support either one of those from a custom perspective. You can have your, you can host the main, you can also use just the ClickFunnels.com. You get your own subdomain of ClickFunnels.com when you create your account. So for instance, mine is Rapid Fire. So it's rapidfire.clickfunnels.com goes to my subdomain on ClickFunnels. And then I can say, hey, I want to build out a funnel, and I want to I want to use my own custom domain with it. Sorry, I need to take a quick drink. And so that's one way to do that. And then some other things that we'll need to go through is email setup. So, you've got, you want to be able to connect and send emails through ClickFunnels, or at least attach to another system. So this is, you're going to use something called SMTP. And this stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. And so SMTP is just a way that the internet is built out to say, and let me zoom this in a little bit here so you guys might be able to see it a little bit better. There we go. So it's just a way to basically send messages, or to tell a system to send a message for you. And so we can use that with ClickFunnels to say, hey, I want to craft my email within ClickFunnels. I want to connect it to my funnel, so that when somebody signs up or somebody buys something, I want to be able to tell another system, hey, send an email, and this is what to send. And this would be used with something like SendGrid. SendGrid is an SMTP service that will send that email for you. Another one is Mandrill. Another one is Mailgun, offered by Rackspace. So those are just a few examples. Gmail has its own SMTP service. This would be used. This is how, honestly, a lot of smartphones will connect, or used to. Now most of them have a different system to connect to your actual email account, but you can set up an SMTP service to send email from your computer, send email from a phone to a server somewhere, and the server actually sends the email. And so that's what SMTP is for. And so ClickFunnels has a nice SMTP system set up so that it will let you craft emails, draft emails, create them within ClickFunnels, and then use an external service to just actually do the delivery. And so that's something we need to think about when we're setting up a new account, and kind of all the systems that we need to integrate together to get a fully functional funnel and business up and going. And so we've got email setup. We've got obviously our payment gateway with Stripe. And so we're going to need to set up that externally. And then we've got our webinar platform, and that's one that we're going to need to set up for this one, so that we can host our business on this. And I want to kind of just step through these today, of how I go through and set all these things up, and then show you kind of within ClickFunnels how we connect them all, how we build these things out, so that it's super simple and easy, and that you start off on the right foot, because some of these things are fairly complex. Domain names are fairly complex. This is one of the biggest things that people struggle with is, hey, I set up a domain name, but how do I connect it? You know, because you can go and buy a domain from a registrar, and that's basically the, you know, the keeper of your domain. And then you've got your DNS host. So your registrar would be somebody like GoDaddy or Namecheap or Enom, or there's hundreds of different registrars that, and you can register your own domain through ClickFunnels now, and we use an external system called DNSimple to actually host that data. They're the registrar. So DNSimple is the registrar behind the scenes for that domain name. And so, so they hold the data to say, here's, this registration was created, and there's a number of, you know, accredited registrars throughout the world. They hold the data and they connect with the main central domain name system hub to say, yep, this domain is reserved. Nobody else can have it. It's reserved. But then from there, you need to be able to say, okay, so where does that domain name point to? A domain name is kind of like a street address. You know, it's very specific. It points to a very specific computer or a very specific system or a network of systems that then know what to do with each request as it comes in. So behind the scenes, it's pointing to an address, you know, an internet IP address, an internet protocol address that tells a computer somewhere, hey, this is what the person is requesting. Serve them up that page, serve them up that funnel. And so in order to kind of make all that work, we have to know that, hey, this domain name has been registered, and that domain name should resolve to a particular address. And that's where this DNS hosting comes in. This DNS stands for Domain Name System. And so the DNS host would be something, could do this at your registrar. Most will do it. GoDaddy will host your DNS information. Namecheap will host your DNS information. I prefer to use Cloudflare. Cloudflare runs, at this point, pretty close to 80% of the traffic on the internet goes through Cloudflare services somehow. And so that's pretty impressive. And because of that, they really have a lot of vision into how the internet works and how traffic is flowing, and they can help to optimize that. They've got great tools, and they bring out new tools all the time that help to optimize your performance of your sites. ClickFunnels works directly with Cloudflare. They are an enterprise partner at Cloudflare, and so ClickFunnels itself is run on Cloudflare. All the traffic runs through Cloudflare. Anytime somebody is requesting a ClickFunnels funnel, it is funneling through Cloudflare. So I use Cloudflare for all of my DNS hosting, and it allows me to do things that we'll jump into in a little bit. And I'll kind of show you some of those things. So that's kind of you know, drills down from the very, very bottom all the way down through. And then so let's jump in. I think the best way to kind of run through this today is to actually just say, okay, well, we want to set up a business, right? And so we know that part of our business was, hey, we're going to create a new business. We're going to create a course for yoga studio owners. We're going to sell it for $9.97. We're going to do some sort of a webinar. And in order to make this all work, I'm going to need all of these things. Which means I'm also going to need, so I'm going to have a funnel, and I want that funnel to be on my own custom domain. It's brand new, so I don't already have an existing website. So if I wanted to start from scratch, how would I go about setting all this stuff up? So the first thing that I would do is I would go and see, hey, what kind of what we talked about in the first session is start thinking about domain names, start thinking about product names, and see if those things are available. So let's actually just jump in. I'm going to jump into my Namecheap account, and we're gonna just walk through this, and we'll see how many. Usually, as these things go, when you're running something live like this, then something's going to break along the way or not work. So hopefully we'll keep our fingers crossed that as much of this works as possible. And we'll just kind of go from there. So let's start with, I think we actually searched on this last time, and I think yogafunnelsecrets.com was actually taken, but let's do a quick search and find out. So that's kind of what it's like. Okay, that would be a good name. Yep, that one's taken. And so let's let's do it. Let's see what we want to do. We want to do yogafunnels.com. Let's see if that one's taken. Probably is. Yep, it is. We'll just do yogafunnelshq.com. Okay, that's easy. So probably not ideal, but just so we don't take up a bunch of time trying to come up with different names, then we'll go ahead and register this one. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to register this. I'm going to buy this domain right now. So this is a Namecheap. It works pretty much the same in all the different ones. I like Namecheap because you get for free included lifetime with the domain. Every year they renew your security. So you, and we'll see this as we go through. So I'm going to put this in here. And so now it's got added in, and we can see that we get the Who Is guard. Who Is guard is actually, what this means is that when you register the domain name, they need to know, hey, who has this actually registered? What's the name, address, phone number, all this stuff, so they can contact you in case something, you know, in case there was some sort of somebody come along and say, hey, that's my business, they can't own this domain, or there's some sort of problem or whatever. They have to know who you are. And so you have to tell the domain registrar who you are, but the problem is that that data then goes and is exposed on the internet in what's called a Who Is search. Somebody can go and search by that domain name and say, hey, who owns this actual domain? And every time a new domain is registered, there are systems that will expose that, hey, here's all the new domains that were registered today. And so if you've ever gone through and done a domain name registration that doesn't have Who Is guard attached to it, or doesn't have some sort of a privacy attached to it, then you'll probably start getting phone calls that same day, or you'll start getting emails, or you start getting letters in the mail saying, hey, it looks like your domain's about to expire. You need to switch over and register it at our service. Or you'll start getting emails that are trying to pitch you on website building services. Because those businesses will go and they'll scrape all the new registrations for domain names. They'll get the address and phone number and name, and then they'll start contacting those people, hoping that somebody that just registered a domain might be interested in some sort of a site building service. And so by turning on this Who Is guard, it hides the actual address and the actual email address, and then any request to send an email, they still have to be able to contact you, but any request to do that will have to go through first this this Namecheap system. And so they kind of filter those things out so you don't see those unless it's something that's actually meant to get to you. So they kind of block that information. They keep that information private for you, which is great. And that's why I love Namecheap. They include that for free, and the domains are, you know, $8.88 generally. Usually, it seems like I always get this discount. So we're going to go ahead and register this one. Let's go ahead and, yeah, I don't need any of the extra stuff. I don't ever buy any of the emails or anything like this. So let's go ahead and confirm this order. And it's going to want me to log in. So I'll log in. And let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and pay now. I probably ought to update my address and phone number at some point in the system because it's all pointing to an old address and phone number, but oh well. And eventually this will go through. Okay, there we go. So we now have a domain name set up. And so we've got that purchased, but what we need to do, well, okay, great. Now we're actually purchased. So we've got the domain name purchased, so we're all good to go there. And now we have this new domain is in our account, and we can actually attach it. And now we want to tell, you know, so if we step back and say, okay, so now we have a domain name, we've registered it. Now we need to figure out, okay, where am I actually going to host the content that I'm going to deliver via this domain name? I have a few things that I need to be able to do. I would want to be great if I could actually send email via that domain. I need to have some way of sending the email that actually looks professional. So, you know, something like jamie@yogafunnelshq.com and receive emails at something like yogafunnelshq.com, you know, that support@yogafunnelshq.com should be able to receive email and I should be able to send email from it. So I need that. So I've got that service, and then I also need to want my funnel to be delivered through that domain name. So I need to have some place that's going to host my content. In this case, it's going to be ClickFunnels. So I need a way to connect that domain name to ClickFunnels. And the way I do that is with my kind of middleman here, my DNS host, to say, hey, I'm going to use Cloudflare to host my domain name information, and I'm going to point my domain name to ClickFunnels. And so if we go in to ClickFunnels, and let's just jump over here. I think I've got my ClickFunnels account. Okay, so we're in my ClickFunnels account here, and I want to add this domain name to ClickFunnels. And what we do, and I usually do this a little bit backwards because I know what I need to set up in advance, but the first thing we're going to do is actually going to go in and set up, we want to add a new domain. So we need to go to account settings now. There used to be a menu right in here, and I like that much better, but we'll go in and actually go to domains on our account settings tab, and it's going to pull up, and now we have the option to add a new domain. So we can click add new domain. In this case, you could come into ClickFunnels and register a new domain here. And I would love to say, yep, that's super simple and easy. They do all the work for you. Just go do that. I personally don't recommend that. I would go and buy your own domain through your own system that's external to ClickFunnels, like Namecheap, like GoDaddy, something like that, and then connect it to ClickFunnels because it gives you a little more control, and you can do a few extra things along the way that make the process much simpler. So that's what we're going to go through today. So we want to say, I want to add your own domain. So I'm going to use an existing domain. I just registered, so I want to use an existing domain. And so the next thing I want to do is going to say, hey, what is your domain? What do you want to register? By default, ClickFunnels is going to put this www dot in front of there. Get rid of that. You don't want to do that. The reason being, most everybody knows what you mean when you say www. Some people that have been around for a day or two will automatically put that in front of anything. But it's much easier to say, hey, go to CFCODELAB.com and you'll check out the new funnel. Versus saying, go to www.cfcodelab.com and check out the funnel. Just say, go to cfcodelab.com and check this out. So I always like to keep it super clean and use just what's called the naked domain or the apex domain as my domain that's hosting the actual site. Because www.cfcodelab.com is one subdomain, and then your naked domain they're separate. They are two separate instances. And so when something like, when search engines like Google, if you have the same website being served up by both of those, then Google will see those as two separate things and they'll compete against each other. And we don't want that to happen. So we need to pick one. And I always pick the naked domain. And then I have all my traffic that might go to www redirect to the naked version of that. So inside of ClickFunnels, it's always better if you just set up the naked version. Unless you're going to use a subdomain like go.cfcodelab.com or start.cfcodelab.com, then you put in the subdomain. But in this case, I'm hosting everything in ClickFunnels. I'm hosting my credibility pages. I'm hosting my terms and conditions pages. I'm hosting everything about this business on ClickFunnels. So I'm going to use the naked domain here. And so we're going to put in Yoga Funnels HQ, if I remember correctly. And we're going to click Add Domain. And then the next thing that's going to pop up, it's going to say, hey, here's how you need to connect your domain to ClickFunnels. And you need to set up a CNAME record that points the www, which is not correct because we don't want to point the www. We want to point the naked domain to target.clickfunnels.com. So that's actually probably an update I need to point out to them because this isn't always actually correct. If you're using a different subdomain, then this is not going to be accurate. And so they've got detailed instructions here. You can pull those things up and kind of walk through the actual setup process. And we actually should have one in here specifically for Cloudflare, I believe, or your domain registrar. Here's a Cloudflare CNAME record. This is what I would recommend. So you can certainly go in and click on Cloudflare, how to set this up, and go through that. But we're actually going to do this ourselves. We're going to walk through this right now. So we know we need to set up some sort of a domain name system, a DNS record here that points our domain to ClickFunnels. So let's jump into that. So I'm actually going to go in to Cloudflare, and you know what? I'm going to open this up in an incognito window because I'm probably already logged into Cloudflare somewhere. And we're just going to go to cloudflare.com without the login stuff because that's just in my history because I go there quite a bit. And what we want to do is we want to actually create a new account. So we want to sign up. We're going to sign up to Cloudflare. We're going to create a new account. And let's see. I'm trying to pick an email that I don't already have a Cloudflare set up with. So these are all taken. See if I think I actually have. Maybe I don't have one set up. Okay, so I think I have an email address set up. I want to get started with Cloudflare. So I want to set up cfprotools@gmail.com. This is one of my email addresses. I don't think I have this one set up, but let me just see. I don't want to worry about email updates. Let's see if it'll let me create an account. It'll tell me if I already have an email there. Nope, I don't. So great. So we just set up a new Cloudflare account. That's all there is to it. It's completely free to set up a Cloudflare account. So you can set that up and then from there, you add sites to it. So I'm going to go ahead and add this to my LastPass. And then we have our new domain name that we want to add to this Cloudflare account. So we're going to do yogafunnelshq.com. We're going to add that site. And so now Cloudflare is going to go through and it's going to, as it steps through here, this might be running a little bit slow because we're recording and doing all this all at the same time. So it's going to let you know what it's doing. We're querying your DNS records. So what Cloudflare is doing is you might already have, there are already DNS records associated with your domain. As soon as you register it, there are DNS records associated with your domain. But if you're moving from another system, say you've already got custom DNS set up at another web host or at your domain registrar, it doesn't want to break those things. So it's going to first query and find out what those current records are so that when you come in and move to Cloudflare, that Cloudflare will create those exact same records so everything continues to work, and then you can make changes as you want to go. In this case, we're brand new, so we're not too worried about anything breaking, but Cloudflare tries to keep it simple for you. So the next thing is you want to pick a plan. I always just use the free plan. It has pretty much everything that I need. There's a few sites I do with CF Pro Tools have a pro plan because it does a couple of extra things that I like. So I do have that. I have a few extra page rules set up there, but in most cases, 99% of cases, you'll just be able to use just the free plan. So we're going to pick the free plan and we're going to click confirm. And it's going to ask us, yep, by clicking confirm, you do all the legal stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and confirm that. And then it says, hey, here's all the DNS records we found for yogafunnelshq.com. And we'll see right off the bat that yogafunnelshq points to an IP address. This is actually at Namecheap. So we can see that www points to parkingpage.namecheap.com. And we've got MS records. These are called MX records. These are called mail exchange records. So this says, hey, if somebody sends an email, that comes through as an MX request. Who's actually going to handle that email? What service is going to accept that email request? And so these are, there's 5 records here, and these are all hosted by Namecheap, since that's our registered domain name. And then it also has a TXT record here, which is called an SPF record. And I honestly don't remember off the top of my head what that stands for, but it has to do with being able to kind of identify your service to be able to be authorized to send emails. We really don't need any of these things right now. So we can kill off all of this stuff because we're going to start brand new. We're going to point this to ClickFunnels, and then we're going to add to as we go through and set up other services. So I'm just going to remove all of these domain records, all of these DNS records, because we don't need any of them. Again, this is a brand new domain. If you've got an existing domain, that's going to be a little bit of a different scenario, but this is a brand new one. We're starting out brand new and fresh. So the first thing we want to do is do exactly what ClickFunnels is telling us here is, hey, we need a CNAME record that points at target.clickfunnels.com. So we want to do that. We're going to jump in and create a CNAME record. And if you put in just @ here, it's going to say the naked domain. And we want to point that to target.clickfunnels.com. And then we leave everything else the same and just click add record. And what you'll notice is that right off the bat that we don't see any orange cloud here on this one. And that is because ClickFunnels is an enterprise partner with Cloudflare, and Cloudflare won't let both ClickFunnels have an orange cloud and us have an orange cloud related to the same service. So because we point at target.clickfunnels.com and clickfunnels.com is actually hosted on Cloudflare, it will not allow us to do what's called proxying through. So the page rules and all the rules and everything else that are associated with this service are hosted on the ClickFunnels account. We can't override them with our own. So you won't ever be able to have the orange cloud on your root domain that points at clickfunnels.com. But we need to, the big thing that we want to be able to do is if somebody decides to point to www.yogafunnelshq.com, we want them to go to our same funnel, right? We want them to go to the same place. And the simplest way to do that is with what's called a page rule in Cloudflare. Cloudflare will let us have a set up kind of a rules and logic, and we'll step through setting those up. But in order to do that, in order to have those page rules work, we have to be able to use page rules on the domain that we're talking about. And so we have to have this orange cloud. Without the ability to have the orange cloud, then it's none of the page rules will take effect. So this is the one where we want to set this up in a certain way. This is also why I point the naked domain at ClickFunnels and not the www, which is what ClickFunnels defaults to. So now we're going to add one more record right now, and we want to make this our www. And all we have to do is put in the subdomain here, the www, and then we're actually going to make this an alias of our yogafunnelshq.com. And again, we're going to leave it at automatic, and we're going to leave the orange cloud on. And what we'll notice is that now we have an orange cloud ability on this one, even though it still points at something that points to target.clickfunnels.com. And so that's what we want. We need to have this orange cloud ability for the www version so that we can redirect it to this whenever somebody requests it. So that's all we need to set up when we get started. So we're going to go ahead and click continue, and then it's going to tell us, hey, you need to go to your registrar. Right now it's pointed to registrarservers.com, DNS1, DNS2. You need to change those at your name registrar. So we're going to go ahead and copy this first one. I'm going to go in and name cheat. This one's going to be a little bit different depending on your registrar, but it's going to be pretty similar in all these. We're going to go in here, and I'm going to go into my account. Let's see, I'm going to go into my domains. Let's go to my dashboard here. And I need to find the domain that I just registered, right? And so it's going to come up, hey, here's the one that I just registered. So let's go ahead and click manage, because I need to make some changes to this domain. I need to tell the domain registrar where my DNS information is hosted. You're going to need to do this anytime you are going to set up an external domain name service, and I would recommend using Cloudflare for that. So you're going to want to go in, and the thing you want to change is that what's called the name servers. This tells this domain, hey, who actually hosts the information about all of the different names associated with this domain. So I'm going to go in here, and I need to use custom DNS in Namecheap. Again, it might be slightly different for GoDaddy or whatever other service you use to register your own domain, but basically we're just going to go in and we're going to update these to the ones that Cloudflare gives us. So we're going to copy this. We're going to go back in, and we're going to put that in there. And then when Namecheap, they don't make the user interface super obvious. You need to click this little green check right here and do a save. Otherwise, it doesn't actually save it. I've unfortunately been through that before. So now we've got that saved. And then let's go in now back into Cloudflare. We're going to click continue. And Cloudflare is going to look and say, okay, here's kind of the thing. Hey, you need to complete this setup. And we've already done this, but it takes a little bit of time because we've got services that are, on different servers throughout the world, and sometimes it takes a little bit of time for those updates to reflect. So now Cloudflare is going to check and see, hey, have you actually done this? Have you actually pointed your domain name to our service? And it's going to check periodically, so we can go ahead and actually click the recheck now, and it's going to say now it's been queued up to recheck. But we don't know yet whether it's actually pointing. But that's okay, because we're going to actually run in and go ahead and do the next step in the process. Is we know that we want anybody that might go to www.yogafunnelshq.com, we want them to automatically go to the exact same page that they might have requested, but go just on the yogafunnelshq.com without the www. So we can do that by setting up what's called a page rule. So in Cloudflare, we go in and we click on the page rules tab, and they give us 3 page rules out of the box for free in the free account. So we get 3 page rules. You can buy more page rules, and you don't have to have a pro account. It's like $5 to get an extra 10 or 20 page rules. But we only really need 1 right now. So we're going to go ahead and create a page rule. And what we want to do is we want to say, anytime that somebody comes into www and honestly, what I like to do sometimes is put this, actually, let's just do this, yogafunnels hq.com / and star. Okay, so this is a wild card. So this basically says any request that comes into a domain that is yogafunnelshq.com, and then any page path that comes after that, we want to do something on that request. And we want to click add setting, and then go in and say, okay, what do we want to do? We're looking for the one that's called forwarding URL. So we're going to do a forwarding URL, and I'm actually going to pick a permanent redirect. It's going to ask us, what status code do you want us to return when somebody makes that request to www? We're going to say we're going to permanently redirect that request to a different URL. And we know we want to, we're going to put order forms and other things on this domain, so we want to host it securely. In fact, nowadays, most browsers, if you aren't using HTTPS, they'll put a big old box up at the top of the address bar that says not secure. And that's super scary for people that don't know what that means. It doesn't mean stuff's being stolen, but that's certainly the way they make it seem. So we want to make it say secure right off the bat. And so we're going to do that with a combination of Cloudflare and ClickFunnels that's going to send some Cloudflare rules over for us. So we're going to say that we're going to forward all those requests to HTTPS. So HTTPS just stands for is the Hypertext Transfer Protocol secured. So we want HTTPS, and we're going to make this the naked domain. And instead of the dollar, instead of the wild card here, instead of the star, now basically with these page rules, Cloudflare has said, hey, anytime there's a star in the URL up above, you can use the dollar and then the number of that star. So if you had 5 of these, then this is *1. You could have, a *2, a dollar sign. Yeah, you could have, your first star, second star, third star. If we were to put a star at the beginning here for www in front of that, then this would be *2 or $2. So these are, how you can actually do a couple of these different things. So that's what this means, is dollar sign and then the number means which star should I be taking here. So this is going to say basically forward any request that comes into www.yogafunnelshq.com and forward it to the exact same, forward it to the naked domain, but take everything that comes after the domain and forward it and attach it to this redirect. This way, if somebody goes, if we say, hey, go to CFCODELAB.com/go, to order now, and they instead go to www.cfcodelab.com/go, we want to make sure that when they request that, it doesn't just go to cfcodelab.com. We want to make sure it goes to cfcodelab.com/go. And so that's why we're using this dollar replacer here. We're going to take that entire path and attach it on. So now we can click Save and Deploy. And now we have a rule that says, hey, if somebody goes to the www version, make sure to send them to the exact same request, but on the naked version instead. And that's something that a lot of people struggle with. And the way that the setup is usually done doesn't make it super easy to do this. So this is the way I would recommend that you go through and do the setup. And this is why I recommend using Cloudflare, because they make it super easy to do this. Otherwise, it's not really super easy to do this. Cloudflare makes it super, super simple. If you know how to do this setup, you just do this each time, and you're easy going. So that's how I set that up. And so let's now bounce back into ClickFunnels. And let's say I've done this step because we just set up our CNAME record. We've got our page rule already set up. Now we want to make sure we attach this to our ClickFunnels account. So say I've done this step, it's going to go out and it's going to check to see, hey, did you actually change the DNS records? And it says, hey, great, you did it. I see it. It's ready to use. I don't want to associate a funnel yet. I'm not ready for that, but I just want to go to my domains list and I want to see my new domain out there. And so now I've got this domain. It's been verified. And so, which means ClickFunnels has checked to make sure everything is working and that the domain name records exist, and they do. The next thing I want to do is I want to actually make this a secure domain. I want to be able to use HTTPS and use it and not have it screw up. So I'm going to go in and do one more step, and that's if we click edit on this domain. I actually want to go in and I want to go to the SSL section here and want to expand that. And then I'm going to click add SSL, and it's going to come back and it's going to say, hey, we're working on this. And it gives you a little message. We've initiated the SSL setup process for your domain. It can take up to 10 to 15 minutes before it's complete. I have found that it's usually complete right away. It doesn't take long to actually do that. So what we can do is expand it again and click the check now button. You have to come back and do the check now at some point in the future. And there it goes. Pretty much right away it's available. So now it says, hey, your domain is ready, which means it's now secured. So if we go in and look at that domain now, we'll have a nice little green secured lock here, and we'll have a secured tab here. It'll tell us it is secured. And so we've got now our domain is set up and it's secured. And let's actually see what happens if we go to that domain. So if we go to HTTPS Yoga Funnels HQ, it may not have completely propagated yet. Sometimes propagation of domain name changes can take 24 to 48 hours. Usually it's pretty quick when you use Cloudflare and we use Namecheap. Those changes take effect pretty quick. But sometimes the first time through it can take a little bit of time. But let's just see what happens. So if we go to yogafunnelshq.com, then we can see it's going to come up and it's going to go to my ClickFunnels dashboard. And the reason that it's doing that is because I've got it pointed to ClickFunnels and there's no funnel attached to it. So it's going to go and it's going to point to ClickFunnels. And because I'm logged into ClickFunnels, it's going to show my dashboard. If I weren't logged into ClickFunnels, if I do this in an incognito window where I'm not logged in and do the same thing, Yoga Funnels HQ, and just go to that domain, now it's going to send me to the ClickFunnels homepage. And that's just because I haven't actually told ClickFunnels where they should send any requests for Yoga Funnels HQ. That's one of the next things we'll do is we'll go and set that up so that it points to an actual funnel that we built, but we'll get into that in a little bit. And so that's, but so far everything is working. So let's now test out our www. So if we go to www.yogafunnelshq.com, let's see what happens there. Now, same thing. What we didn't see in that process is that Cloudflare made an automatic switch and said, okay, it came in through www, redirect it to the non-www version, the naked domain, and then that one says go to clickfunnels.com. So it happened too quick to even see it in the address bar, but those page rules are all working now. So we can request either or. We can request yogafunnelshq.com or we can request www.yogafunnelshq.com. Both of them are going to go to the exact same place. And so that's exactly what we want, because unfortunately it just became such a standard that some people do it even if you don't put it in your ad, or if you don't put it, if you're speaking the domain, like if you're on a webinar and you're saying, hey, go to cfcodelab.com/go, they may still put in the www. So we want to make sure that both of those work, and they do. So that's great. So we've got this all set up and we've got it all working. And so one of the next things we need to do is actually go through and we want to be able to send email. This is another one that a lot of people run into problems with. We want to be able to send and receive email on this domain. And there's not a real easy way to do that out of the box. And so what you want to do, you need to set up another service. Like right now we have a domain, and there's not a simple way to be able to receive email on that domain. All we did was register a domain. We didn't say, hey, send email here. We don't have any what are called MX records set up. We removed those because we don't, you know, Namecheap is not going to host our email for us. It's not going to give us an inbox that we can use to log in and get our emails and do all that stuff. We can add that as a service, but I would rather use an external service away from my actual domain name registrar. For this, I use G Suite. Google offers a tool they call G Suite, where you can actually pay them to give you a professional, your own custom domain email address. So normally you'd go and register a Gmail account, you know, could register yogafunnelshq@gmail.com, and they'll let you use that one, but then you can't send and receive email at yogafunnelshq.com. It has to go through that yogafunnelshq@gmail.com. Well, we want to be able to send email as jamie@yogafunnelshq.com or support@yogafunnelshq.com. So we need to set up an email hosting service, and we're going to use Gmail for that. And so, or G Suite for that. So that's what I would recommend. So we're going to go into Gmail, and let's actually just do a Google, because I honestly don't remember off the top of my head what the address is. So we're just going to type in G Suite, and let's go in G Suite by Google Cloud, and let's just go there. And then this should step us through actually how to click. We want to get started. So we want to get started. We want to create a new email, and we're going to call this Yoga Funnels HQ, and it's just me. We're going to click next, and I'm going to say, actually, you know what? Before we do this, let's skip that for now. The first thing we want to do probably is actually set up an actual new Gmail address, because that's the account we're going to use to connect this stuff. So let's go to gmail.com, and that should take us, and it's going to go to google.gmail. So now we want to create an account. So let's start with creating a free account, and we're going to set this up as Jamie Smith, and we're going to say, let's see if Yoga Funnels HQ is available. And I don't know why it filled in password for me right off the bat, probably because I have a dozen Gmail accounts already. Mix of letters, numbers, and symbols. Okay, so we're going to do some fancy footwork here, and we're going to just pick LastPass do this for us. We're going to fill that password, and Yoga Funnels HQ. Okay, awesome. And we're going to click next. We're going to click add, and it's going to ask us some details so that they can validate our account. So we're going to go through that, and I'm going to use jamie@cfphotos.com for this. And we've got our birthday here, so August 1974, and male. And then it's going to send us a code. So I'm going to grab my phone here and get my text messages, and let's see. So we've got our code, and it's G110840. And it's just doing that so it can verify that we are a person, we have the phone number, we put in the right phone number, and all that fun stuff. And so if you like, you can add your phone number to your account for use, receive video calls and messages. I want to skip that. And we've got to go down and look at the privacy terms. Okay, great, I agree. Gonna take a minute to run through all this. It's setting up the account, doing all that fun stuff. And we're in. So you start with a brand new account, okay, we're good. So you get an inbox. You can receive emails and all that stuff here, but this is a yogafunnelshq@gmail.com. I'm going to use this for my recovery. I'm just setting up a free account because you're going to attach that to your actual, this gives you a Google account, and your G Suite is going to be attached to a Google account. So I've got this set up, and I've kind of grabbed it so that nobody else can grab it as well. That's another good reason to do this. Just like if you were setting up a new business, you'd probably want to go to Facebook and grab that name from Facebook. So if somebody were to go to facebook.com/yogafunnelshq, then it would actually go to your Facebook page. Same with Instagram. If the Instagram's available, you know, and somebody were to search on Yoga Funnels HQ, you might have the username at Yoga Funnels HQ. So you can kind of go through and grab a few of those social media platform names so that somebody else doesn't come behind you and grab them instead, and then try and use those to you know, connect your customers or get your customer, kind of siphon off your customers that way. So we've at least got this set up now. And then the next thing we want to do is we actually want to go in now and set up our G Suite account. So we're going to, again, go back and get started with the G Suite process. And we should, since we're now logged in, we want to get started. I'm just going to step back through this process, just me. Next. So we're going to put our name, first name, last name, email address, which is the one we just set up, the Yoga Funnels HQ. Do you have your business domain? Yes, I have one I can use, and that's what we're going to do. Yes, I have one. Otherwise, Google will actually let you register a domain, just like ClickFunnels will let you register a domain. Actually, I've not used the Google Domains service, but they have a new Google Domains service that I believe is pretty good. So that might be one other thing to look into. I'll actually probably run through and try and test that out, but didn't use that one today since I use Namecheap for everything else. But yes, I have one we can use. And so we want the we want to put in yogafunnelshq.com here. So this is the name, business domain name that we want to use. So we're going to add, click next, and it's going to step us through. Use this domain to set up an account. Yes, email sent to Yoga Funnels HQ won't be affected until you set up email with this account. So that's what we want to make sure and do. We're going to go ahead and click next, and what it's going to do, it's going to step through, and it's going to help us set up the DNS records so when somebody sends an email, it goes to G Suite service, it goes to the Gmail service and delivers that email to our inbox. So I'm going to set up, I want to start with support@yogafunnelshq.com. I'm just going to use that one email address, and that can be I can use ClickFunnels to say it's coming from me, but the email address is actually support@yogafunnelshq.com. You might want to set up your own personal, like I also have jamie@cfprotools.com. That's my G Suite email address. That comes to me. And then I set up another one, an alias for support, and that actually redirects to my support desk system. So that's something to consider, but we're just going to kind of walk through how to actually connect and create a DNS account. So, you know, you could use this as admin, you could use it at help, you could use support, or you could just use your personal name. So it might be Dan, could be Joe, could be Jeremy, could be Jamie at yogafunnelshq.com. I'm going to go ahead and put in support in for today. And then we want to set up a new password. So I'm going to go ahead and click generate password. Let's see, generate secure password. And I'm going to copy this just in case I need it. I'm going to say fill password. Oh, it didn't like to fill it. So let's do it this way. Actually, it's not even going to, oh, here we go. I got to click the generate. And then I'm going to copy this just to be safe. Sometimes it doesn't like to do it. So we're going to say fill. Okay, great. Now it should pop up and say, how do you want to add this? And I want to say support at yogafunnels. HQ.com. This is my LastPass. You guys may not be using LastPass, but I like to keep track of these things. So I'm going to add this to the right folder just so I remember where it's at. And so we got it stored in LastPass now. So it stored that password for me so I don't forget it. And I'm going to click I'm not a robot, and we'll see it's going to traffic lights. So I got to click all the boxes that have traffic lights. Fun. And click verify. And then agree and continue. So you're agreeing to the G Suite agreement and supplemental terms and conditions. Agree and continue. And it'll take just a second. And while it's doing that, I'm going to go grab my wallet because it's probably going to ask me for a credit card here in a minute. I'll be right back. Okay, so like I said, it's going to ask me for a credit card, and this is a flexible plan, so I can pick flexible plan, no long-term commitment, cancel, downgrade, pay each month, starts, I think you get a 14-day free trial, yeah, free for 14 days, so it's going to start on the 10th, add or remove users as you need it. So I'll be able to set this all up, and I can go and cancel it before it even gets started. We're just using this for an example, but it lets me get started. So I'm going to go ahead and click next. There's probably promo codes out there somewhere. And it's going to come in and okay, so now it's going to say, yep, it's $12 a month. It's a business, Yoga Funnels HQ. I'm going to put in, I can put in my address. And primary contact. And then I need to add a credit card. There we go. It's going to click next. It's going to ask me what my card number is. I'm not quite sure why that didn't pop up here. I'm going to throw this onto another screen while I put that in. And we'll get that added. And 1022, and there we go. Same as above. Okay. Sorry, you won't be able to see this until it goes through. I just hit submit. Okay, great. And now it comes and tells me that your G Suite account has been created. Great. So now it's got me an email address set up. And so now they're going to continue with the setup. So this is how now we're going to go through, and it's going to give us our welcome to the admin console. Great. And then it's going to step us through the admin console setup and everything else. I want to activate Gmail, route your emails to Gmail inboxes, and we're going to activate. That says 25 minutes. I don't think this is going to take 25 minutes. Update your domain settings. We'll verify that you added the records, and then you can start using G Suite. Okay, great. So this is going to tell us exactly how to, and it can see already, they already know where we're hosting our domain at because they've picked Cloudflare. So Gmail's pretty smart. They can look and see who's hosting the DNS records. And they know that Cloudflare is hosting the DNS records, so they're going to give us instructions specifically for how to add these things to Cloudflare. And so we just walk through and follow these steps. So these are the rules that we need to add for our MX records at Cloudflare. So the first thing we need to do is we need to go into Cloudflare. So we've got Cloudflare up here, and we need to go back to our DNS settings. And then, so we're logged in at Cloudflare, and then we're gonna go to our MX records, we're gonna click on the DNS tab, and we're gonna add an MX record. And then we want to add a record, and in the MX record, in the points to field, we're gonna add this ASPMX, that one, okay? And they actually have 5 of these. So you can see this is Alt 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so you can see that this is the first one. And then they have Alt 1, Alt 2, Alt 3, Alt 4. So there's 5 total records, and they have different priorities. So this first one has a priority of 1. So all we need to go back here is go now, and we want to click in Cloudflare, and click MX, and we're going to type in, we don't need a name here, we're just going to do @ and then we're going to type in the mail server, and let's give it a priority of 1, and click Save. And then we'll click Add Record. So now we have an MX record for yogafunnelshq.com that's handled by this server, and it has a priority of 1. So we're going to basically do that exact same thing several more times. So we're going to do add again to say this is just on the primary domain, the yogafunnelshq.com, because you can have a mail service that's also at mail.yogafunnelshq.com, and you can have an email address that's support@mail.yogafunnelshq.com. You could have an email address just for support. You could set up a subdomain for support.yogafunnelshq.com, and your email address could be support@yogafunnelshq.com. So you can set up different domains just for certain email services. In this case, we want email on our root domain because most people don't understand subdomains when it comes to email. They expect it to go to, if your business is yogafunnelshq.com, they want to send an email to jamie@yogafunnelshq.com. So we're going to go ahead and type in now, we're going to put in our server, but now we have ASPMX1 and our priority is 5 on this one. If we skip back here, we'll see that we have Alt 1 and our priority of 5. So we're just going to keep adding those in. So we're going to go ahead and click Save and click Add Record. And now we've got the second one. We've got ASPMX 1. Oh, actually, nope, I did that wrong. It's actually alt1.aspmx. So I need to change that record. So that's good. So here's how we change that record. I'm glad I caught that. So we actually just click this, and it's not ASPMX 1. It is alt1.aspmx. Okay, and now we click Save. And so let's actually copy this. And I'm going to click Cancel. And now we're gonna do another MX record. Again, the @ symbol, which means just go to the naked domain, and then we're going to paste in. And then now we got Alt 2, and our priority is 5. Again, we're just referencing what was in Google here. So we got 2 that are priority 5 and 2 that are priority 10. What this means is basically a fallback for your MX servers. If one gets overloaded or your whoever's trying to send email has difficulty getting connected, they have multiple servers that will take and receive that email. So depending on speeds and everything else, this is just to make the internet work and much more reliable and work on a much faster route. So that's one of the good things about Google. They actually have 5 different servers that will receive your email if need be. And so, and the priority just says, hey, which level at which I'm going to send these, what order am I going to send them to in. So we have Alt 2. And so let's go back in now. So we've got created Alt 1. Let's create Alt 2. We've got Alt 2 set up there. Now we just need to click Add Record. And so we've got our 2 priority 5s, and now we need to add our 2 priority 10s. And so we're going to paste this in, and this is actually Alt 3. And we're going to click Save. Oh, sorry, I did not set the priority. So let's configure that again. We need to set that to priority 10. Click Save and click Add Record. And then we're going to, again, @ symbol, click to configure. We're going to paste that in, and this is Alt 4. And again, priority 10, and click Save. Okay, so now we have, we got to click Add Record. Now we have our 5 MX records that Google requires set up on our domain. So we've got our DNS records. So now we can jump back to Google and say, activate Gmail. So we've gone through, so we get our verification code. We're going to copy this. Oh, we need to add our MX verification record in the priority field, enter 15. And only this time in the server field, paste. Okay, so we're going to copy this. And then we're going to go and we're going to go back. This is a little bit new, and I don't think they've done this in the past. So we're going to, again, do @ and in the click to configure, we're going to paste that code, and we're going to put a priority of 15 and click Save. And then we're going to click Add Record. So this, they must just be using to verify that you actually have done this stuff. And so that's a little bit different, but just follow along with their instructions. They keep it pretty simple, and that's specific to Cloudflare in this case. If there's enough room for another MX record, remove the last MX record, you add it above, the last one on the table, and then add this one. So we've got plenty of room, so we're good there. We're gonna click Activate Gmail. It's gonna go out and it's gonna check to see if these records exist. That can take a little bit of time, but it looks like, hey, it checked them all right away. Cloudflare's pretty good at this. It's gonna check them again. Looks like they were all added. You can save this, close this page, come back. Let's see if we can get through this process here. Hopefully it will go quickly. I'll give it just a minute. I'm not sure why it flashed up as added and then went back to this. Usually it doesn't do that. Feel like we need the Jeopardy theme song in there. Do, 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 do. Okay, well, we'll leave that up and running while this is going. Let's see, we probably have a few more emails. Yep, you can see here we've got G Suite set up. So now we have access. So G Suite is sending us emails on our new Yoga Funnels HQ at gmail.com email address. So we've got that all set up and going. So we've got emails in here that we can use to connect to our admin console where we'll have access to all our billing and everything else for this account. And then we'll actually be able to set up and log in and create an email address. Once we get G Suite set up, it'll ask us what email address do we want to set up. We set up the support@yogafunnelshq.com. It will actually give us the ability to log in as support@yogafunnelshq.com into Gmail. And we'll be able to send and receive email to that email address, send email from and receive email to that email address. And we'll be able to connect that one within ClickFunnels. And we'll also be able to use that email address to connect to external services like SendGrid, so that SendGrid can send email on our behalf using that email address. See if we got it finished yet. Oh, back to this one. It's still checking. So we will we'll go ahead and skip past that, because once this is set up, and then we'll be able to continue the process of actually setting up that inbox, setting up that account, and then we'll want that so that we can go through and actually set up the SendGrid service and all of that. But let's go ahead and open up that for now, because that's the next thing we want to be able to do. Is we want to be able to actually send email through we want to be able to create it in ClickFunnels and send it off using this new email address. And so that's one of the other things that people sometimes becomes as an issue. Is like, okay, great, I created my domain, I got my ClickFunnels account, but how do I receive email? So this is how we receive the email. And then like, okay, that's great, I want to be able to send email out from ClickFunnels. How do I do that? We need to have an SMTP service in order to be able to do that. So we're going to use SendGrid for that. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a new tab here, and we're going to go to sendgrid.com. And we're just going to set up a new SendGrid account, and we're going to attach it to this new email address. And then we're also going to, SendGrid is going to give us some records to add to our Cloudflare account that will identify that we are authorized, that SendGrid is authorized to send email from our domain that we just registered. So we're going to go ahead and click Start for Free. And we want to set up a username. Let's see, hopefully Yoga Funnels HQ is available. Oop, HQ. That username is available. Okay, good. And then and then we want to create a password. And so let's see, I want to click here. We're going to click this. I'm going to copy this just in case again, but I'm going to say fill password. It's going to go ahead and fill my password for me. I'm going to go ahead and click add so that I have it in my LastPass. And then the email address, you need this to access verify your account. So we're just going to use the Gmail account that we just set up, the Yoga Funnels HQ at gmail.com to set this up. Now, if you had already gone through and finished out the process for setting up support@yogafunnelshq.com, you could certainly use that, or you could use your own personal email address. This has nothing to do with what SendGrid is going to use to send the email. This is just so that when you log into the account, or they're going to send a verification link to an email address. So this I could just as easily send to jamie@cfprotools.com. Now, they might complain because I already have an email address, or I already have an account set up with this email address. But let's just see. We'll just do that. That might be a little bit easier. So they want to see where the bicycle's at. Okay, so we got a little bike tire there. Click verify. Okay, great. I've accepted the terms and service. And so we get a free 100 from email, so we can send 100 emails. So this one we get to start for free. And no credit card required on this one. So we're going to click create account. And then they're going to ask us a little bit about ourselves. I'm going to say Jamie Smith, Yoga Funnels HQ, and I don't even think that's required, so we're going to skip that one. I'm going to skip. Oh, and some of these are required. Okay, so I'm the CEO, sure. And then we're just how many emails do you send per month? Right now we're at 0. How many employees? Just 1. And company website. We're going to put in yogafunnelshq.com. even though it's not started yet, but they'll use that. Sometimes they will go out and do a little bit of check to see what kind of business you're in. They're not going to do this right away on a free account, so not too much to worry about. But if you were doing something weird that doesn't fit with their terms of service, you're running a porn site or you're running a drug smuggling operation or you're running something that they don't like, then they could look at your site and say, hey, wait a minute, this isn't one of our supported business models. We're going to go ahead and shut down your account. But we're not going to worry about that today. So we've got this all set up. So we want to we want to integrate, we want to send your first email, we want to verify your account. So to guard against spam, we limit all unverified accounts to 100 emails today. Complete these steps to send your plans full allotment. So let's do that. Confirm your email address. So we should have received an email address to my Gmail account. I need to open that one up. So let me go ahead and get this open. I'm going to open it up here on the other screen. And we'll get logged in there real quick. Oh, and it looks like our Gmail is set up now, so that is good. I did get an email from SendGrid support that wants me to verify my email address. So I'm gonna go ahead and click email, confirm email address. I know you're not seeing that on this because I've got it off on my other screen. And so we'll pull this back over now. There we go. So I did get that email from SendGrid. This is what it looks like. It just says, hey, you're on the way. Let's confirm your email address. Click confirm email address. And then it's going to take us over to say, okay, awesome, you're in, logged in, and I've got no, I'm actually kind of surprised. It must have logged me in just from the verification link because I had that created in a new tab. But we're into the SendGrid account now for that one. And so the next steps, it gives us down below. We want to do sender authentication. This is how we tell the world that SendGrid is authorized to send email on our behalf. This is a very important piece to do. Otherwise, you will get email when somebody receives it. You know, say you send an email from support@yogafunnelshq.com. They'll get in their inbox and it'll say, you know, Jamie Smith, support@yogafunnelshq.com on behalf of, or sent by, and it'll have a SendGrid address in there, or it'll come from SendGrid and it'll say on behalf of the domain that you're sending from. We don't want that. We just want it to say it's coming from yogafunnelshq.com. So let's go ahead and click start on this process, and they're going to tell us what we need to do. We need to first authenticate our domain. And so we want to go ahead and click start, get started here. And they're going to give us, again, the steps of where's our DNS host? Well, we're Cloudflare. So they're going to walk us through how to set this up for Cloudflare. Would you also like to brand the links for this? We're at all tracking links to use the domain you choose. I'm not going to worry about this right now because ClickFunnels is actually going to rebrand our links anyways. And most people won't see, they're going to see, they might see a strange domain, but I'm not even going to worry about this right now. We're just going to go ahead and worry about setting up our DNS. We can always go back and do this link branding later. But let's go ahead and just set up the DNS. Domain you send from, that's going to be yogafunnelshq.com. And let's see what we've got for use automated security, use custom return path, use a custom DKIM selector. Yeah, so we don't have any DKIM set by anybody else. So and so this one, we're just going to use what comes out of the box with SendGrid. The return path is, and again, this is something that they're going to set one up for us. If you're already using it with another service or something like that, then you can override this. But we're just going to use the automated stuff. So we're gonna leave the defaults here. So we're going to click next. And then it's going to walk through, and it's going to do very similar to what we just did with our MX records, only this time we're going to set up CNAME records. And we set those up already to point to ClickFunnels, but now we need to use these so that SendGrid can set up what are called our domain keys. And so we're going to go ahead and copy this CNAME, and we're going to go back into our Cloudflare account. And so we want to go, again, we're going to add a CNAME record. We're going to paste in that. It's going to strip off, automatically, it's going to strip off the .yogafunnelshq.com. It's really, we just need to set up the EM2199. And then we need to say, where does this point to? And so let's copy this value. So we're going to click copy on that. And we're going to tab back to it. And we're going to paste that in. And we're going to click add record. DNS record cannot be proxied. Oh, no, that's fine. click add record. There we go, it added the record. So that last one, it just said the DNS record cannot be proxied because of the way it's being sent. So this proxy is the orange cloud. So if it tells you that, just click the turn off the cloud, and then you'll be able to create the record. And that's totally fine because we're just using this for verification records. They don't need to go through page rules or anything like that with Cloudflare. So we don't really need to proxy those things. But we'll notice now there's the EM2199. It doesn't have the full EM2199.yogafunnelshq.com like they had in SendGrid. That's normal. This is a subdomain, so every domain will include yogafunnelshq.com. So Cloudflare just doesn't show that piece of it. But this record is accurate. It tells us an alias of what SendGrid told us to set up. So now let's go grab our other record. And so now we need to set up another CNAME record with S1 _domain key. This is where some services, if you're using say you're using multiple SMTP services, one at SendGrid, one at Mailgun, one at Mandrill, for different purposes, for different chunks of your business, then you might have already an S1 _domain key. So that's where they said earlier that you could customize this if you want to use something different. If you're already using a service and they use this domain key, you could use something else, but we don't need to worry about that. So we're going to go ahead and click copy. We're going to go back and we're going to go ahead and set that value. And then we're going to go back. We're going to copy the value. And we're going to paste that in. Again, we're going to have to turn off the orange cloud and click add record. And so you'll notice it kept the S1 _domain key. And then it kept our value. So it stripped off the yogafunnelshq.com. That's totally standard, so don't freak out about that. And then we're going to go ahead and click copy again for our S2. So that's copied. We're going to go back into Cloudflare. We're going to create that another domain key. And we're going to copy this. And we're going to go ahead and jump in. We're going to paste this in. And we're going to turn off our orange cloud. And we're going to click add record. So now we've got all of our domain keys added here to SendGrid. And we can click, I've added these records. It might take a minute sometimes for those things to show up, but we'll go ahead and click verify. Sometimes it's pretty quick. Yep, looks like it worked. Great. And so now we want to return to sender authentication. So this is great. So let's go ahead and do the link branding while we're here. We might as well. I wasn't going to do that, but you know what? We might as well while we're here. So we're going to go ahead and click Cloudflare and then click next. And it's also going to be pretty much the same domain you send from, and it's going to be Yoga Funnels HQ. And again, this is probably going to give us a little, use a custom link subdomain. No, we don't really want to do that. You could if you were using different tracking, different records, but we're just going to leave the defaults here. We'll go ahead and click next. And then this is going to give us, again, CNAME records that we can add that are going to allow SendGrid to modify the links in our emails that are going to redirect to the right place, but it's going to allow those links in SendGrid, because SendGrid will tell us how many people opened the emails and how many clicked through the emails that clicked on one of those links. So they change all the links to actually point back to SendGrid so that they can keep track of those sorts of things. We want those links to actually say yogafunnelshq.com versus sendgrid.net, because some people will look at that and say, wait a minute, you're trying to tell me to go to yogafunnelshq.com, but this link says it's going someplace else. So we don't want them to worry too much about that. So we're going to go ahead and click copy here. We need to create a CNAME record. So let's go ahead and bounce back into Cloudflare. And we're going to click paste. And then let's go back in here and click copy. And we need to paste that in. These are just going to go to sendgrid.net. And let's see, this might not let us proxy, but nope, that one does. So that's totally fine. I'd actually probably turn off the proxy on this one anyways, just because we don't need to proxy it. And then we're going to copy, and we're going to create another CNAME. We're going to paste that in. Oh, went too far. One more. There we go. We're going to copy our value. It's sendgrid.net. Could have just pasted it in, typed it in, but sendgrid.net. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the proxy and click add record. So now that's added in. So now we've got all our CNAMEs, and now we can go back in here and we can say, hey, I've added these records. And we'll click verify, It worked. Okay, it's got them. And so now we've got our sender authentication. It's all good and done. So let's go back to our dashboard. And then, and so templates, we don't need to worry about. Unsubscribe groups, we don't need to worry about. Event notifications, we don't need to worry about all that stuff. You know, that stuff is like, these are embedded SendGrid stuff. Honestly, I don't log into SendGrid very often at all. Everything's managed through ClickFunnels. And what we need to do is, in order to connect to ClickFunnels, actually grab some details about our SendGrid account and use that to add an SFTP service at ClickFunnels.com. So let's go ahead and jump in and do that now that we have all this set up. Actually, let's bounce back because now our Gmail is set up. So we have Gmail's activated for yogafunnelshq.com. We want to create email accounts, add emails for your coworkers or team. So let's go ahead and create accounts. We can add up to 10 users. We don't need to do that. Create free alias email addresses. So this is, I actually use an alias email address for support at CFCODELAB that points to an email address that is hosted by my Freshdesk support system. So this is where you could set something up like that. So we're going to go ahead and click continue. So this is me. I don't need any more. I don't need to add another user at this point, so we can just click continue. And why it went back here, not quite sure. Skip creating email accounts for now. Okay, great. So we could, got apps, we got Google Voice. Let's send a test email, blah, blah, blah. Let's see what happens here. Hi, welcome to G Suite. It's going to send that. Great, and then this, if we click here, this should actually take us into, actually, I want to go here. Not quite sure. Oh, I just want to go to the actual inbox for this. It's been a while since I set one of these up. Close this out. Okay, now we should be able to just go to mail.google.com. We're already logged in, so it's going to take us right away to our Yoga Funnels HQ. So that's where we're going here, and I want to actually need to add an account. So I want to add an account, and I should be able to just, because I created my account earlier for the support at yogafunnelshq.com. So if I type that in now and click next, now it's asking me for my password. So Google did recognize that this email address is a valid Gmail address now, which is good. And if I click my little LastPass, then I should have that email address in here somewhere. Of course, it's probably, there we go. This is the one I want, support at yogafunnelshq.com. If I click next, it should log me in. It says, welcome to your new account, blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna click accept. And it's gonna fire up, and of course, here we go. So I have my new, click OK. So I've got my new Gmail account set up. I'm able to log into this, and this is now attached to support at yogafunnelshq.com. So I'm able to send and receive emails from this. So I'm actually gonna log in. I'm gonna go back to one of my other Gmail accounts here. So this is my CF Pro Tools Gmail account. So I'm gonna, and you can see this is Jamie at CFProTools.com, and I'm gonna send an email to support at yogafunnelshq.com. And we're just gonna send that email. So it says it's sent. Let's jump over here, and sometimes it takes a little bit to show up. Although I'm kind of surprised because usually Gmail is pretty rapid on sending these things. But because it's new, fresh, there we go. So now we received the new email. I sent it to support at yogafunnelshq.com, and I'm receiving it in my yogafunnelshq.com. And so it's going to give you some warnings to see different things. Say, hey, James Smith, similar to a name in your organization. So that's actually kind of cool. You know, it recognizes that, hey, obviously that's my name. I set it up. So it tries to, the actual G Suite is pretty cool. It does all your spam filtering, all the stuff that you would use in Gmail. it has built in. So obviously there's a monthly cost associated with this, but I think it's well worth it, and it gives you Google Drive and all kinds of other fun things to go with this specific account. So this is how I use to set up. I run all my CF Pro Tools stuff through G Suite, and I actually have several accounts. I actually have a team drive set up, so I have a business account with G Suite so that I can use team drives, and I can actually add team members and things like that, and do all that fun stuff. So this is how you would go through and attach a new domain, a brand new custom domain, and make it so that you could send and receive emails at this. And then the next step is we need to connect this to, we've connected this to SendGrid already. So we've got SendGrid account set up. This one's attached, so we can send email as support@yogafunnelshq.com. And now we need to attach our SendGrid to ClickFunnels so that we can actually send emails out from ClickFunnels as support@yogafunnelshq.com. And it looks like it came, it comes through, and if somebody replies back, we receive it in our inbox. So that's kind of the next step. So is everybody still alive? Are we still on? You still there, Dan? Still there, Joe? Is this all making sense? Is this helpful? I know, Dan, you've probably been through a ton of this stuff before, but hopefully this is useful. And hopefully there's a few little golden nuggets here that help. So I'm going to open the chat here and see what we got. Oh, here we go. Yeah, Joe says gold mine, and Dan says good to go. Okay, great. Well, I'm going to do this, guys. If you don't mind, I have been drinking water this whole meeting, and my water is now gone, and so I need to take a quick break. So let's take a quick, let's say, take like a 5-minute break, and we'll kick back off and get started, because I feel like we got 20 minutes left before we hit our 2 hours. But there's probably a ton more stuff that I can go through here. So this one might run a little bit longer than the last couple have. So I'm going to take a break. That way we're not miserable. So, and Dan says, now I know why people use G Suite. Yeah, I love G Suite. It's super easy to get set up, and it's easy to get going, and it keeps you from having to go and get a third-party web host. It's got all the tools built into it, baked into it, all the spam controls, all the filtering of emails and promotion boxes and all that stuff. It gives you all the tools. It's the reason I use Gmail for all kinds of other stuff, and you get all those great Gmail tools, but with your own custom domain. So yeah, so hopefully that makes sense. So I'm going to mute. I'm going to leave this running. I'm going to leave everything up. I'm just going to mute everything. I'm going to go take a quick break, and we'll start back. And let's say at 11:45, we'll kick off again, and we'll kind of run through some more stuff. We'll get things, our SendGrid account connected to ClickFunnels, and kind of keep running from there. So I'll be right back, guys. Thanks. All right. Thanks for bearing with me while we took a quick break there. Much needed. So, okay, so let's jump back into where we left off, and that was that we've got our SendGrid account created, and we've got our Gmail account created. We're receiving emails there. We're able to send emails from there. In fact, we can even send out and say, let's do one here. I don't need to worry about sending money Gmail. Thank you, though. So let's send one back to jamie@cfprotools.com. And we'll just say testing new support email, testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we're going to send this email over. And that one was sent. And so now let me jump back into my email here. And so now if I jump in, this is my Gmail. And so I got that new email address. So now if we go in, we open this up, now we can see that it was sent by support@YogaFunnels HQ. We run through, it's got, secured and everything else. It's all looking good and didn't get any weird. It didn't go to spam. It didn't do anything like that. It came through. Everything's looking good. So we got that all set up. So now we're good to go. We can send and receive emails at our new Gmail or our new G Suite account from YogaFunnelsHQ.com. So now we need to jump back in. I'm actually just going to pull my SendGrid back over here. I'm going to go ahead and close out my personal Gmail. I don't really need that for now. I'm going to leave. Okay, great. So now we've got our SendGrid. So now we want to be able to connect. We want to be able to send email from ClickFunnels, from our funnel. We want to be able to send email when somebody signs up to our email or signs up to our, for a lead magnet, or they buy something. We want to be able to send them an email, and we want it to come from support@YogaFunnelsHQ.com. Dan asked the question, can Suite send emails to any email address, not just a Gmail account? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just a normal email account, just like you would sign up and use a Gmail account. You could send it to any email address you want to. It's not just going to work within other Gmail accounts. It works to send to any email to any address. So good question on that. Yeah, it's not limited to Gmail only. It's just really, if you think about G Suite, is nothing more than using a Gmail account, which you get all the features that you would get with Gmail. The only difference is now you can use it with a custom domain, so that it doesn't have to be a YogaFunnelsHQ@gmail.com, which doesn't sound all that professional. It can literally be just jamie@YogaFunnelsHQ.com. Nobody else is ever going to know that you're using Gmail to host that email, but you get all the exact same features you would get with a Gmail account. Difference being you can also have multiple accounts that are underneath of that. So you can have, I think with the basic account, you can get up to 10 users. Then you can sign up for a business account and get a bunch of other tools. So you get basically the normal Gmail tools, right out of the box, and you can get some extra cool features, but you get to use custom domains with that. So that's the big benefit of using G Suite.
Okay, Jamie, I just turned my mic back on. So my real question is so if I have so I create a custom domain, and I have that custom domain in GoDaddy, but then I create an email. Let me think. Would that even be necessary? I was going to say, and then I create an email in GoDaddy.
Yeah, that's the piece you would not do, because then your email is being hosted by GoDaddy. In this case, we're hosting our email at Gmail.
Okay, so if I have my email through GoDaddy, then I wouldn't need the G Suite.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. So this G Suite in this case would be replacing what you would normally do, what you've been doing at GoDaddy, which is setting up an email there. GoDaddy will also do your email hosting for you. I prefer G Suite. The interface, because I use Gmail for everything else. I have, a dozen different Gmail accounts. So I'm familiar and comfortable with all the tools that come with Gmail. So you get Drive, you get documents, you get all kinds of fun stuff. And so that's just why I use G Suite. Definitely GoDaddy will host your email for you as well, and you could set that all up. But they're kind of they're the same products, just from different providers. Okay, so now we've got our SendGrid account set up. It's all connected to our G Suite account. Now we need to connect it to our ClickFunnels account. And we're going to do that. And it's been a few days since I've had to set this up. So let me go back, and I think we need to go to, actually, I think it's under settings. We need to grab our API information for this account. Yeah, actually it went in here. So we need to grab our API keys because that's what's going to be required at ClickFunnels. So let's jump into our ClickFunnels account. So let's close this one out because we've got SendGrid open in another window. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to minimize Cloudflare for now because we don't need it right now. Let's go ahead and minimize this one because we don't need it right now. And so now we're back in our ClickFunnels account. And so now we want to go through and attach this. We want to be able to send email from our yogafunnelshq.com domain. So what we need to do is set up an outgoing SMTP. And I think I just have one, so I should be able to add one. Yes, so I can add an email integration. So I've got my CF Pro Tools set up. I want to add another one. So I'm going to add an email integration. And I want to add your own SMTP. I don't want to use, I'm not going to use this ClickFunnels. I'm going to click Add Existing SMTP Integration. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to set this up. I'm going to call it YogaFunnels HQ. And I give it a from name. It's going to be Jamie Smith. And the from email is going to be support@yogafunnelshq.com. SMTP server. This is where I need to grab the details from SendGrid on how to do this. And if you ever look, like there's actually, you can actually set this stuff up with SendGrid so that it'll track spam complaints, bounces, all kinds of other stuff. And you can actually go and learn how to do this. You can also search through the help docs on what exactly you need from SendGrid and how to grab it. And so, but we just basically need to go over and we're gonna grab our details from SendGrid. And it's been a few days since I set this up, so please bear with me. I set this up years ago and I'm just going to do a full access, create new. Oh, I need an API key name. We'll just do YogaFunnels HQ, ClickFunnels, and we're going to create a new. We're going to set this up. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go ahead and throw this into another window. Oh, I need to actually open up that. There we go. Just in case we need it here in a second. So I copied my email key. Actually, I don't even think I need that, to be honest with you. I don't even think I need that. I need to, let's actually just pull up the documentation since it's been that long since, and I think the process for ClickFunnels has. So we're gonna go to help. We're gonna go to docs. We're going to pull up SendGrid. Dan, you've probably been through this more recently than I have. We're gonna do SendGrid, SMTP, and we want to integrate. There we go. And we're going to grab all this. The SendGrid details are SendGrid.net. That is the big one that we need. We need our account information. There we go. So our SMTP domain, we want to send from this one for our domain. And then our SMTP domain is SendGrid.net. And then the SMTP server is usually always going to be the same. If I can get to my help doc here, there we go. I don't make it very easy to read. Let's see if we can blow this bad boy up. There we go. Yep, it's right in here. There we go. So we're going to use, again, smtp.sendgrid.net. That's always going to be our SMTP server when we're using SendGrid. The port is always 587. That is the secure port to send emails through. And then we're going to use our SendGrid username, not the API keys, which is a little better way to do it, but it's not the way that ClickFunnels has set it up. So we're going to use YogaFunnels HQ, and then I just need to look up, grab my password here. So I'm going to go to LastPass, and I'm going to look up YogaFunnels HQ. That's my SendGrid, and then I just need to copy that password. So we're going to paste that in. And we've got our password set up there. And then we need to set an address. This is going to automatically get attached to our footer. And this is because for can spam rules, it's required that you have an address. Set that all up, United States. There we go. And for SMTP footer, you'll notice actually if you go to the docs, they've got what you can actually set up SMT footer. It's automatically going to do this stuff for you. So I don't even think you have to put this stuff in here, but it's better if you can actually put something in that you like, customize a little bit. We're just going to copy what they have here and copy this. And we're going to paste that in. And it's going to add all that. So it's going to add an unsubscribe link. And we're going to put in fancy little, they got a little separated out. This just gives you a little better control. We're going to do. And then they have set up there for a phone number. I don't want to put that on there. That's not a requirement. The address is, you have to have a physical address listed for your business in your footer for CAN spam rules. Phone number is not a requirement. And then you can set whether you want this to be your default. Usually when you're setting this up to start, you do want it to be your default SMTP integration. That way it's automatically selected for you when you're sending emails out through Actionetics and things like that. In this case, I have another one that's my default. I don't want to set this one as default, but I can click my Save SMTP Integration. And it tells me that it was successfully created. And in fact, if I go in now, actually go back to this one, I can verify email settings. I can click verify email settings and it will tell me email settings are good. Send a test email. And I should be able to go into my, let's go into my actual account here. And if I click this now, it should get an email eventually from the ClickFunnels team saying, hey, we tested your account. It's all good. And so now we have this SMTP connected inside of ClickFunnels. So now we have a new outgoing SMTP that we can use to send emails from via ClickFunnels. So now we have it all connected. And Dan says under step one. Yeah, I probably missed when that was connected, Dan, so my apologies there. But thank you for that. So I think we're all set now. We've got our SMTP connected. And so now when we go into to actually send. So if we were to go in, and we'll just an example, if we were to go in and want to send a broadcast now, then we will see that SMTP as an option for which account do we want to send from. So I'm going to do a test broadcast. And we'll go into broadcasts and follow-up funnels and all that stuff later. But just to show you, this is just a quick way that we can send an email out from ClickFunnels. So I want to send a test broadcast, and I'm going to use the email messenger. This is using the new, what we'll call the new Actionetics suite here. So we get these broadcasts, and I can, we're just going to do a test. Actually, I'll do dev. And then now we can see we have two different SMTPs. We have the Jamie at CF Pro Tools. That's my default SMTP. It's listed first. And then we also have the support at yogafunnelshq.com. So that's the account that I'm going to send it from. And then the from name, you can actually override. So if you want to send it from a different name than what's defined by default, like by default, it's going to send from Jamie Smith. But we want to set this. So you're going to type this in as well. ClickFunnels actually requires this, and so we can do the same. But if you wanted to say, instead of saying Jamie Smith, you could say Yoga Funnels HQ. And then when you look at that in your inbox, that's the name that's going to show. The address is always going to be support at yogafunnelshq.com, but the name can be whatever you want it to be. And you could do that. You could do that per email. You could switch out and say, okay, for this one, I want to say from Jamie. For this one, maybe you have an assistant and you want to see if people open more often if you switch up names. So you can do that on your broadcast just by changing this name out. and then you would pick who's going to receive it and set the rest of the stuff up. But this just shows you that now you have another SMTP that you can pick, and it will send it from that email address to wherever it's going to go. So that shows us that our SMTP is all set up and we're all good to go. And Joe asked, how many SMTP can you set up? It depends on your package level at ClickFunnels. I believe with the $97 plan, it may just be one, or it's either 1 or 3 with a 97 plan. I'm not 100% sure. It's been a while since I've looked at what all is included with the different plans. And then even when you get to the 297 plan, you're kind of limited in how many SMTPs. I believe you're at least 3 when you're at the 297 plan. That's where I'm at now, but you can add more if you need to. So if you were running multiple different businesses and you wanted to be able to send out through different email addresses, then and Dan says 97 is 1 and 297 is 3. Yeah, that does sound right, Dan. So thanks for that. So I'm on the the upgraded ActionX plan. So I've got a limit of 3. So I would probably be able to create one more, and then it would tell me, sorry, you need to upgrade your plan if you want more. So cool. Okay, so we've got those things all integrated. So that's that's what we're looking for. We've got this created. We've got it now connected to ClickFunnels. So we can actually, so we've got our domain. We've got it connected to ClickFunnels. We've got our email address now set so we can send and receive emails. We have our SMTP service set up. So now we can send emails from ClickFunnels, and we've got that SMTP service connected to ClickFunnels so that we can send messages out. In fact, let me see if I actually have a test list. I'm not even sure who all is on all of these lists, so I don't want to start sending out random messages to people as we're going through that today. But you could send a test message out from this, obviously, and make sure that you get it as well. But we've got everything connected there to set up. So let's bounce back and look at our doc here. If I can find which tab I have it in, let's close out a couple of these things. And I'm going to minimize this one. And then we've got our doc here. Okay, so we've got, we won't worry about subdomains today, but we've got our email set up. So the next thing is setting up a payment gateway. In most cases, I'm going to recommend setting up Stripe for this. There is a limitation in ClickFunnels to how many Stripe accounts or how many payment gateways you can have set up. And so out of the box with a $97 plan, you can have 1 payment gateway. It used to be 1 per type. They've recently changed it to 1 total. So you can have 1 payment gateway total in the $97 plan. And then with the $297 plan, you can actually have 3 payment gateways, I believe is the limitation. And then again, if you need to upgrade, if you need more than that, there are ways to buy additional upgrades so that you can have more of those things. And once you get to those limits, then they should have links on there to allow you to upgrade to buy additional payment gateways or additional SMTP services if you need to. And so the way you would do that to add your payment gateway is to actually, again, go into your account settings tab and then go into payment gateways. And in this one, you can see I've actually got 3 set up already. I've got a Stripe, my CF Pro Tools Stripe account. I've also got 2 PayPal accounts. And I have 2 PayPal accounts because I have one that's sandbox and one that's live. So those are 2 gateways there. And it tells me I'm using 1 of 3. I think that's because it only recognizes my 1 Stripe account. So I could add a new payment gateway here, and it would ask me, okay, what kind of payment gateway do I want to create? Well, I want to create a Stripe account. And it will go through and it'll say, create Stripe account. So it'll ask you additional Stripe accounts, CF Pro Tools, you're using 1 of 3 available. I want to create a Stripe account. And then it'll go through and ask me, what's the name of the Stripe account? ClickFunnels HQ, and do I want to enable Apple Pay? Apple Pay is if, Stripe will, that's the way you can use Apple Pay or Android Pay. In this case, they just call it Apple Pay, but it's both at Stripe. If you enable that for the domain, then ClickFunnels will send set up a couple of DNS records on ClickFunnels and also enable that feature on your Stripe account so that you can use Apple Pay and Android Pay with this particular domain. So we could check that box for Yoga Funnels HQ. And what that'll mean is now when you add the credit card element, it will also allow you to have the Apple Pay button above that, or the Android Pay button above that credit card element, so somebody could choose to pay with that as well. I personally don't use that now because the way that it's where it shows up on the ClickFunnels order form is a little goofy. I wish it was a little bit different, so I generally don't use that. But it is a nice feature to have, and some people really, really like having Apple Pay. So we can go ahead and turn it on for this one just so we see what it is. We don't want to set this as the default Stripe account. And we can say create Stripe account. Then it should step us through and ask us to connect that. So next we can say connect with Stripe. And it should pop up, and it's probably actually going to ask me to log in. Sign into your account. Yeah, so we actually need to create a Stripe account first. So let's back up a level and let's see. I'm going to go in, and I'm going to go into Fresh Stripe, and we'll create this. So if we go to stripe.com, and this piece is pretty easy. And what you can do is actually set up a Stripe account, and they'll go through later, and you'll need to do some validation, you do some other things, but you can set one up pretty quickly and connect to ClickFunnels pretty quickly. So we're going to go in, we're going to say start now. And it's going to step through and just ask us some basic things. So we've set up our Yoga Funnels HQ. So let's go ahead and do Yoga Funnels HQ at gmail.com. Oh, misspelled it. Got to have the right email address in Yoga Funnels HQ gmail.com. Let's say Jamie. Oh, they want full name here. Go away. Smith. And then we'll set a password. I'm going to go ahead and grab and generate a new password here. A password. And I'm going to go ahead and add that one. And we're going to click the I'm not a robot. And it's going to ask us for traffic lights. Can't tell if that's a traffic light or not. Looks like it might have something in it. Let's go ahead and click verify. Looks like we're good. Create Stripe accounts. And how do you want to get started with Stripe? This is a little bit of a new process. Let's go ahead and click skip for now because that's not what we need to do. We just want to go right in here. And so, okay, great. We want to call this, we'll just call this Yoga Funnels HQ. By the time I get this all built out, I'm going to actually just decide I want to go build out a Yoga Funnels product, and then we'll have it. So activate your account would be, it's going to verify your email. So we want to go in now to our Yoga Funnels HQ email address, which should be right here. And this is actually, we want to go to our Gmail because that's the one we use. So now we have our Stripe set up here, and I'm going to click confirm email address. So that's going to take me to Stripe. It's going to ask me to log in. And so I'm going to pick from my LastPass. And there we go. I'm going to fill that in and confirm your email. It's going to ask you to verify again. You're not a robot. And we want to see pictures of bridges. So there's one. There's one. There's one. Okay, good deal. Your email address has been confirmed. That's great. And so now we're logged in. And now, this is where we're not going to worry about going through and actually fully activating before you take payments and all that fun stuff. But they're going to ask you for these things. So if we were to click start, it's going to ask you, what's your business address, what's your phone number, what type of business it is, what's your EIN, your business website, all that fun stuff. We don't need to do all that today. It's going to ask you for social security number, all kinds of fun stuff. And actually, I think it'll even ask you for your bank account information, credit card statement details. This is how you want it to show up when it goes out to your customers, your support address, and your bank details, because Stripe will automatically send money to your bank account. as you first set up, usually it's going to ask you to withdraw money. So they're going to kind of hold it, and then you can say, hey, I want to send it to my bank account. And then once you get to a certain point, they're just going to automatically every day make a deposit into your bank account. But the Stripe setup process is pretty simple. So they follow through all this stuff, provide them the details that they're asking for, and then they will and submit your application. And then, it's going to, it'll go through and get it so that you can actually accept money. But for now, we're not going to worry about that piece, because that's just Stripe setup. There's 100 places you can get that. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to connect this now to ClickFunnels. So let's close this down. And now we want to go in to ClickFunnels, and we're going to say connect with Stripe, because now we have an account set up. So now we're going to log into our Stripe account. And so I'm going to pick my Yoga Funnels HQ, and it's going to get my details there. And I'm going to go ahead and click sign into your account. Email address must match the current user. I'm not sure why that is. Oh, you know what? I think it's doing this because I'm logged into Stripe in another account. So let me pull this over. I think I'm already logged into Stripe, so I think that's what it's complaining about. So let me log out. Stripe kind of keeps you logged in to get to your dashboard. So let me undo this. Yeah, I need to. Yeah, that's the deal. I'm already logged in another account, so it's getting a little confused which account it is that I'm trying to log into. Okay, so now I'm logged out of that. Let's see if it will actually let me log in now. There we go. And so now it's going to go through and it's going to say, hey, ClickFunnels would like to start accepting payments with Stripe. And it does look like they want me to add all this stuff in. Oh boy. Okay, this is a little bit new as well. And so I'm not going to go through all this stuff, but just suffice it to say, once you click the connect, once you've filled in all the details here and click the connect and click authorize access to this account, it's going to send you back to ClickFunnels, and then ClickFunnels is going to be connected to your Stripe account. So then when you're creating products in ClickFunnels, and actually I'm in my Stripe account here, so once we go through that process, so this will all be connected, and you'll see it listed, this new payment gateway, you'll see it listed here. You'll notice it's here, but it's not connected yet. It's not been actually connected to Stripe. But you'll be able to actually pick this payment gateway when you're creating products on your funnels. So if I were to go in and look at funnels, and let's just pick a funnel that's already built that that I've actually used for some testing. There we go. So let's say I want to pick this, we'll just pick this product variations demo funnel here. So now when I go to, if I have an order form or an OTO page, I'm going to have a products tab. And when I go to my products, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a product. When I add a product, I'm going to need to pick which payment gateway do I want to use. And so we'll see now I've got my 3 that are connected. I've got my 2 PayPals and my 1 Stripe that actually works. Once you set that up, you'll see that Stripe payment gateway here. You can just pick that. And then from there, you'll be able to create a product that's attached to that payment gateway. And so that's how that works when you've got your Stripe account all set up and all up and functional. And then when somebody buys that product, the money, it's automatically going to process through that Stripe account. And like I said, once you've collected enough, then you can transfer money out of Stripe into your bank account. And they'll do that. They send it electronically. And then once you get to a certain point, and I don't know what the threshold is nowadays, they change it every once in a while, then they will start doing automatic deposits. Where they won't let you actually do let it build up in Stripe. They'll just automatically start sending the money as it comes in. They'll send it into your bank account. So pretty much every day or every couple days, depending on how often you're collecting, they will send an automatic deposit from Stripe into your bank account, and then that money is yours to do whatever you want with. So that is setting up payment gateway. And then you can see, if we go back and look at payment gateways, there are a ton of options. So we kind of talked about, so if we were to add a new payment gateway, Then you can see we've got ClickBank, Infusionsoft, JVZoo. These are really third-party payment gateways. They're going to accept the payment and all of that. The ones that you're probably going to use more often than not would be Stripe, would be NMI, EasyPay Direct. NMI and EasyPay Direct are really the same thing. EasyPay Direct uses NMI in the background, and then BlueSnap, that one's been pretty janky over the years. BlueSnap has not been the easiest to work with, so I wouldn't recommend them. They've got some great features, but with ClickFunnels, I wouldn't necessarily recommend BlueSnap. And then the other one is Recurly. Recurly is where you can set up products that are going to be on a monthly recurring basis. You can do that also with Stripe, but Recurly supports a few different business models, and you would in Recurly connect to maybe to a Stripe account, or maybe to an NMI account, or maybe to another one, and they will act as the gateway, but then the money will go through that other system. So Recurly is kind of nice for that. They are just a manager of recurring subscriptions. So, but we do have a direct integration with ClickFunnels for Recurly. And then you have Infusionsoft, two different flavors, one that uses their API v1, one that uses v2. I believe that the v2 is the only one that's really super supported right now. So those are your options to be able to add in. So you've got a bunch of different ones here to be able to accept payments directly. You also have a new PayPal v2 integration that will allow you to connect money or collect money directly into your PayPal account. And that one works pretty slick with ClickFunnels now. It's still definitely early on in usage with ClickFunnels, and we don't have a ton of people using it. So there are some little kinks that I've noticed, and I do have some custom code in CF Pro Tools that allows you to use it a little bit differently, but out of the box, just so you know, with payment integrations, if you want to use PayPal, you can only use PayPal on your order form, and it will replace your credit card form with PayPal buttons. And so somebody could then pay through PayPal, but it does not allow you to collect money through a credit card account at the same time. So you can't use Stripe and PayPal on the same order form if you're just using base ClickFunnels. I have an add-on inside of CF Pro Tools that allows you to use both a credit card like NMI or Stripe or Recurly or EasyPay Direct alongside of PayPal, so you can allow the customer to choose which they want to pay with, whether it's PayPal or whether it's a credit card payment. And so that does work. But again, the PayPal integration itself, it can be, it's very cool, but it can be, it's still early on in the phases. So I'm sure there's going to be little niggly things that need to be worked out over time. So definitely Stripe is the most robust and the easiest to use, and getting into your Stripe dashboard, super easy. So that's the one I would recommend for most business models. Some more high risk business models, Stripe may say, hey, we don't want to work with you. I've had a customer who was using Stripe and had run a large number of transactions through Stripe. But then they came along and he was actually selling knives and as a kind of free plus shipping offer, and then where I believe there might have been a small cost for the knives, but it was a very steeply discounted knife, and then it went into a kind of a protection association type thing. Sorry about that. I backed up. Dan just says my audio keeps fluctuating, so I'll try and sit in the same spot. But is that a little bit better, Dan? So we'll wait for a response back here. Yep. Oh, it has nothing to do with me moving. Okay, well, that's not cool. So hopefully, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with that. I'll try and get, it looks like my computer has, the fan has shut down. So that might've been it a little bit. But if it continues, Dan, please let me know. But hopefully we'll even out here. My microphone, the monitor up here at the top seems to be good. But anyways, so yeah, but anyways, we had a customer that was using Stripe, was selling knives, and Stripe came along after a couple of months and said, hey, we don't like the business model that you're using. We don't like the fact that you're selling knives. And so it would be good if you move to another service. And they gave them 30 days to move over. So they had to switch over to using NMI. So they will do that occasionally. They don't like things like pseudo pharmaceuticals or supplements, protein powders. they seem to be maybe okay with, but they don't like traditional supplements that may have claims that are maybe a little less substantiated. I'm not 100% sure on CBD oil with Stripe. I do believe that they do not like CBD oil, but I have never tried it with them, so I can't say 100% for sure on that. But in any time when you're running a business model that you feel like, okay, yeah, they might not like this one, I would recommend going and working with Alex Roy is his name, and I can leave a link in the members area, something like that. The company he works, his company is Gateway Funnel Pros, and that's actually who ClickFunnels has used in the past as well to set up kind of higher risk merchant accounts for certain products. And he will work with you to get a merchant account set up with a bank that is willing to take, whatever business model you use. He knows the industry very, very, very well, and will work with you to pick out the right merchant account for your business, and then we'll help you to get an NMI account set up that will connect to that merchant account. And if you're running high volumes, it'll even work with getting you multiple merchant accounts, and NMI will actually load balance if you set it up this way. Excuse me, they'll actually load balance your transactions as they come in, and they'll send different amounts or different transactions to different merchant accounts. So, and that's actually a really, really good thing, especially if you're doing high volume or you're doing something like a big launch where you expect to run a large number of transactions in a short period of time. Having those load balanced out so that they're not all going into a single merchant account, where that one merchant might say, hey, wait a minute, you went from $0 to $1 million in a week. That sounds a little fishy. So we're going to go ahead and lock down this money for the next 90 days to make sure that we don't get any chargebacks. That definitely would hurt quite a bit. So NMI will actually allow you to send that money across, 2, 3, 4, 5 different merchant accounts, and they'll load balance it. So then it's not any one of them that's getting a big spike. It's kind of spread out across all of them, and hopefully that will reduce the risk that any particular merchant account will put you on a temporary hold, or maybe lock your account, or give some sort of a hold, where sometimes merchant accounts will say, hey, we're going to hold on to this money that you just collected. We're going to hold on to it, or maybe even a percentage of it. We're going to hold on to 50% of your money or 75% of your money for the next 60, 90, 180 days, just to make sure that nobody comes asking for it back. So NMI is great for those situations where you're maybe at a little bit higher risk, or a business model that Stripe may not like. Then you can go and grab your own merchant account and set it up with NMI. Easy Pay Direct, again, same way. They'll integrate with any other merchant account, and you can use because again, behind the scenes they use NMI. It's a little better interface with Easy Pay Direct than it is with NMI. So, Alex can definitely recommend which that he would thinks would be best for you on that. And then again, Infusionsoft is one where if you want to use something like Authorize.net, say you already have a payment account with Authorize.net, ClickFunnels doesn't integrate with them directly at this point. That'll probably happen in the future, but they don't currently. But you can use Authorize.net through Infusionsoft. And so you can sign up in the Infusionsoft account and then use Authorize.net as your payment gateway at Infusionsoft, and the money will flow through properly to your to your Authorize.net merchant account. So that's just a few things on merchant accounts. And any questions there that anybody might have when it comes to payment gateways, setting those up with ClickFunnels, and that money flowing through? So it doesn't look like we've got anything going there. So we kind of covered payment gateways. And then the next one that we can go through is how to connect your actual webinar. And so this one, we probably won't set up a new webinar account, but let's at least jump through and look at integrations, because I have a Zoom account. And what you'll want to do is, so this is a list of all the integrations that I have set up now. So you can see I've got an EverWebinar account, I've got a Webinar Jam, I've got a Twilio, I've got a Zoom account. This is how I host my webinars. And then I've got an old MailChimp account that it's a long time ago. I'm pretty sure I don't ever even have that MailChimp account anymore, so I could probably get rid of that one. And then Actionetics is one that's installed by default. With ClickFunnels, that's the built-in part, and then the HTML form as well. It gets created when you initially create your account. So you don't have to create those integrations. But if we wanted to create an integration for a Zoom account, or a GoToWebinar account, if we're using that, then we go add new integration, and then you pick which do you want to do. And these are all the different integrations that are available that are direct integrations with ClickFunnels. Zoom is one of those. Usign is one of those. I can probably connect to that. I actually have a Usign account. Slide Broadcast is one if you wanted to send emails or voicemails. And they're called slide broadcasts because it kind of does a double ring. So you get a ring, one ring basically, and then during that ring, they send another call from the same number to your same number. And so that one will go straight to voicemail. And so then someone will get a voicemail, and it could be a voicemail from you saying, hey, sorry I missed you. Be sure and go check out the new order form at CFCODELAB.com/go if you want to get started. Something like that in a voicemail. Slide Broadcast is that. SendLane is another autoresponder service. Push Crew is the ability to send desktop notifications. So that's one thing. Entreport is another CRM type service where you can send emails out through them. It's pretty slick. It's a pretty good tool. And it's kind of got a full CRM built into it. You can connect to Shopify and ShipStation. These are shipping integrations. So you can send, if somebody orders something and you need to have it shipped out, you can send that order data directly to ShipStation or directly to Shopify. And so those are good to have. We've got MailChimp, MadMimi. These are both autoresponder services. Market Hero, autoresponder service. MaraPost is another autoresponder. Kajabi is you can use that one to actually unlock members areas inside of Kajabi. So if you're selling a Kajabi product, say you've got a course and you've created on Kajabi and you want to sell it with ClickFunnels, ClickFunnels order form, you can connect your Kajabi account and then say when somebody buys this product, it connects to this members area in Kajabi so that they get the right access on Kajabi side. And then we've got GoToWebinar, of course, for our webinar integrations. And then we've got Zoom. So if we want to create a Zoom integration for another webinar integration, then you go in and basically in this one, you would get the API secret and the API key from your Zoom account, and you would just add them in here and then give it a name and click Add Integration. And that's pretty much all there is to it. And then what you have is when you go in, if you have this set up, you can actually go in and when you're creating a form that you want to say, hey, I want to add somebody to. So let's just actually create one real quick because it should be pretty quick and easy to go through. Everything cooperates. We're going to create a new funnel, and we're going to host a webinar. It's going to be a live webinar. I'm going to put this in here. We'll click Build Funnel. Should take me into my funnel here. And then we've got a webinar registration page. Let's just pick a template. Sure, it looks like we've added some new ones maybe. So that's cool. And now we're going to click Edit Page. This is going to pull up our webinar registration page. And then we would go to Settings, Integrations, and then we can pick our Zoom integration. And then we can select Add to Webinar. And then from here, we'll see a list. Now, I don't have any webinars that are single instance webinars right now set up, but it would give you a list of your webinars. So you would create your webinar in Zoom, you would schedule it, and then from here, you would be able to select that webinar. And then when somebody fills out the form and submits this form on this page, they would automatically get added to that webinar in Zoom. And then they would get the reminder emails from Zoom. And then you would also set up reminder emails and be able to send broadcasts and all kinds of other stuff from within ClickFunnels. So that's kind of how the Zoom integration works and the webinar integrations. So we set up those integrations, again, under account settings. And then we'll go to integrations. And then you can see a list up at the top of all the different integrations. So we've got our Zoom integration here already created, but we have a list of these up at the top that are our webinar integrations. And so you can see we've got EverWebinar, Webinar Jam, Webinar Jam Studio. Some of these really have kind of gone defunct, but GoToWebinar and Zoom are the big ones. And then so you just pick from those, and then once you have your webinars set up inside of those tools, then you'll be able to actually go and connect them to your registration page. And that's how your webinar setup works. So those are kind of the basics of getting started and getting all these things connected up to ClickFunnels. So the big ones are the ones that I see people struggle with the most are the domain registration, the DNS records, getting the domain connected to ClickFunnels, and then being able to set up your email so that you can send and receive emails from an email address that's connected to your custom domain name, and then use ClickFunnels to actually send emails out on your behalf. So that's where it's setting up and connecting with SendGrid goes, or that SMTP service. So I want to make sure and get those set up and show you how that works so that when we get ready to start building funnels in the upcoming sessions, that all those things are already there. And so we've got payment gateway set up. And that we can use as Stripe. And then we've got a webinar integration set up with Zoom so that we can actually connect and say, hey, this is the webinar you're going to go to. So when somebody registers, this is where they're going to get added to. This is the webinar they're going to get added to. So kind of connected all those things. Now we've got our system set up and ready to go, so that when we're ready to start building funnels and we go through and we build out our webinar registration funnel, we build out our order form, we build out our membership area funnels, we do all of that, then we know that all the stuff is already there and it's already ready to go for us. So, that was a lot. So we're at 2.5 hours. And so hopefully this has been a good one. Are there any questions that I can answer on what we've gone through today before we sign off for today? And then in the next session, we're going to actually go in and we're going to start building out some of these types of funnels. And then we're going to go through, and we'll probably cover a little bit of it next time, but we'll cover even more in detail actual funnel design when we follow on with the next session. But the next one we'll be going through actually using ClickFunnels to actually build out funnels. And in that one, we'll go in specifically some of the tips and tricks that I do to kind of shortcut the process and really kind of streamline the process as much as possible. But if there's anything that I can answer today before we take off, then I'd be happy to do so. If not, then we'll call it a day, and I'll get this recording ripped down and put up into the members area as soon as possible. I'll try and get that done. It takes a couple hours for it to come in from Zoom. It takes me a couple hours to go through and chop it and get it re-pushed back out onto YouTube. So it may not be yet today, but if not, it'll be tomorrow. And this will be in the members area. So if you ever need to go back and reference it, it'll be there. But any questions that you guys can think of, I'd be happy to answer now. Dan, Joe, looks like we still got you online. Joe says, wow, this is awesome. That's awesome, Joe. I'm glad to hear it. Any questions I can answer? If not, we'll call it a day.
Yeah, Jamie, where I got confused on the G Suite thing is I've always used GoDaddy as my domain registrar, and I've always set up all my emails through GoDaddy as well. So I've never had the situation. So my question is, somebody would use this. So like, let's say they buy their domain at Namecheap. And I suspect Namecheap does not allow you to set up email through them like GoDaddy does. I
believe that you can actually set up email at Namecheap. You can add it to your domain. There's an additional cost that comes with it. I've just had never done that. I'm kind of a fan of using the tools that are like they do what they do best. So GoDaddy's great for registering domains. That's what they do best. They also offer a ton of other services like email and website hosting and a ton of other things. And if you use them, you like them for that, then absolutely you can continue using them for that. And they should have the same process, honestly. Similar setup. Even if you were wanted to use Cloudflare for that, they're going to tell you, hey, here's the MX records that you need to add to Cloudflare so that everybody knows where the service that's actually serving up your email. It'd be pretty similar to the setup that you would see that I went through with G Suite.
Right, and I've done all that with GoDaddy, but my question is so somebody buys their domain through Namecheap or Bluehost or somebody who doesn't give them access to an email as well. That's when they would use a Gmail account, and that's when they'd have to set up the G Suite in order to be able to do what I basically just natively do, because I do everything right through GoDaddy. So that was the thing I never understood, is like, why would people be using this G Suite thing?
Oh, gotcha.
Because I've never been in a situation where I needed to.
Sure.
And that's where I got confused on it.
Yep, for sure. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Now
Yep, it's just that kind of replacement of, you've already got, you're using it at GoDaddy, and G Suite's just another alternative for that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Oh, and on the volume,
yeah,
it doesn't matter where you were sitting, what you were doing. It just keeps going up and down, almost in a cycle. It just goes up and down. Now on the recording, it may come out just fine, but on my end, that's what I'm hearing, is it just keeps fluctuating.
Oh, wow. Like the entire time, it just like certain points throughout, or?
It was worse at sometimes than it was at others.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's good to know. I did just replace my microphone recently. And so I'll definitely kind of do a little bit more testing, make sure that we get the best quality can out of that. So.
Yeah, I've noticed it in weeks in the past too, but again, the recording may come through just fine. It might just be what I'm hearing on my end. Sure.
Okay. Well, good. Well, I appreciate you letting me know on that. So we'll kind of keep an eye out for it at least. And then, yeah, if we need to make some adjustments, we can. So, yeah, and I could probably even turn my gain up a little bit. That's the new microphone I like, and it's got a nice little gain control, so you can actually pump up the volume a little bit right from the microphone, which is nice.
What kind of mic did you get?
It's a HyperX Quadcast, I think is what it's called.
Okay. Is it a dynamic mic or a condenser? Do you know?
That I don't know mics that well, so I couldn't tell you for sure.
From the distance you're from it, I'm guessing it's a condenser mic, like a Yeti would be.
Yeah, it's pretty much a replacement for my Yeti. I had a Yeti before. I replaced this one. I think I used this one on our last session as well. I had my Yeti.
Yeah.
For the very
it was fluctuating in the past too.
Okay.
So it could be the microphone. What I did is I got an ATR 2100. It's like $65 on Amazon, and a dynamic mic, but you gotta have it close to your face.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, I like this one because I can kind of set it back, and it still picks up pretty good, and it comes in different different waveforms or whatever that you want to call it. So I might just need to play with the settings a little bit to make sure it picks up everything. But yeah, so I love my Yeti. The Yeti was good, but the mute button on the Yeti, and I talked to a dozen different people, and they all said the same thing, is the mute button. Yeah, you have to like click it just right. You have to like almost press it and click it down and to get it to mute. Where this one just got a nice little touch sensitive tap on the top, and it mutes the microphone. So it makes it easy if you need to cough or something like that to turn it off quickly.
Yeah, my issue with my Yeti is I still have it right here, but I never use it anymore because it just picks up so much background noise. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, it's extremely sensitive.
Yeah. And
so,
I live in Arizona here, and we got fans and stuff running all the time. Just
sure, yeah,
livable.
Yeah.
AC's kicking on every 2 seconds.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
It's only going to be 111 here today.
Oh, well, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
It's a dry heat, right?
Yeah, actually it is. We haven't had hardly any monsoon this year, so it's been really dry.
Yeah. All right. Well, good. Well, hopefully this has been useful, guys. And
it's been great.
Okay, good deal. All right, awesome. Well, we'll be back on schedule for next Saturday, same bat time, same bat station, 10 a.m. I'll send out notifications on that, but I'll get these recordings up as well. And Dan, I remembered as I was jumping on, I meant this morning to get your hot seat up, and I have not yet, but I have not forgotten about it. So I will actually chop that now, because that one is all ready. I've already got it from Zoom. So I'll get that loaded in the members area as well. I'll probably put that into one of the bonus sections. So I'll let you know when that's there, and we'll be all set to go. Thanks, guys, so much, and I'll see you next Saturday.